to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast, the highlight of Friday nights. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone's enjoying a fantastic day, whatever the case may be. I am your host, Sports PSP. Man, what a fantastic Friday. Just a few more weeks until Thanksgiving. Grub Town. First and foremost, before we start off the show, I know it's a little bit late, but happy belated Veterans Day. Thank you to all of our military men and women, the sacrifices that they've made for this country. Without y'all, we would not be where we are today. So I just want to tip my hats off and say thank you to our wonderful military men and women. Thank you as always. Really appreciate your contributions. I can't imagine what y'all go through on a daily basis. All I can say is thank you. And thank you for everything that you do. And it just amazes me because again, like I said, man, without y'all, we would not be where we are today. And y'all give us hope. Our military men and women, y'all give us hope. Because even on good and bad times, we can't imagine what y'all go through. But you give us hope every day just to keep on. So I say thank you. And I tip our hats off to our wonderful military men and women. But of course, BRF is we're gonna wait on BRF real quick. We're gonna see whether he's gonna hop on the pod, Mr. Atlanta. But of course, we cannot do the Sports PSP podcast without my main man, who is a military man and veteran himself, the four-time college degree champion with the new background, with the new microphone. He's looking all sharp. The Al Roker of journalism, the young Charles Barkley, looking silk clean and smooth. He is one half of the UGA Georgia Bulldogs fan. He is a diehard Los Angeles Lakers fan, sports fanatic, wrestling fanatic, music fanatic. He's a foodie. He is the epitome of Southern hospitality. Wonderful friend, brother, family man, Mama Champ's number one favorite son, undisputed world champ, the big fella. How you doing?
Good, man. Just happy to be here, man. The highlight of Friday nights is here, man. We got basketball on, man. Got wrestling on. Jade Cargill is the new women's champion. Y'all know how much I love Jade Cargill. So, man, it's good to be here, man. I'm just glad that we can and thank you for shouting out my fellow veterans. Thank y'all. Thank you for the ones that came before me and the ones that have come after me, and the ones who served with me. So I want to thank y'all because without the ones that are before, we wouldn't have been able to do what we were doing over there in Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. And without the ones that are going to be doing after, we can't protect the country going forward. Regardless of everything that goes on, we have to protect our home. This is our home, so we got to protect it. So thank y'all for protecting it.
Absolutely. Always, man, always got to give thanks up to the military men and women. Just thank you for everyone. I believe it takes all of us in order for us to get to our accomplishments and the ultimate goal. Just try to make sure that this country and this world is in a better and a safer place. So again, thank you. And thank you for your contributions as well, Undisputed World Champ. You've done a fantastic job, not only as a military man, but also brilliant brother, 4 college degrees under your belt and counting. Who knows? Undisputed World Champ may go back to college and win another degree and win another degree. That's just how brilliant the brother is. That's why I call him the Al Roker of journalism. He is as sharp and as clean as a whistle, man. But thank you, man. And shout out to the beautiful D and Mama PSP and also Ace and also Mama Champ as well. But
Yeah.
big fella, we got some news, man. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks, they made the decision to let go of Nico Harrison. No surprise. It was no surprise that it was going to happen. I was watching Inside the NBA on TNT, on ESPN. It's no longer on TNT. It's now on ESPN. I apologize for that mistake, folks.
No, it happens, man. I mean, I
I'm still not used to it.
went to TNT the other night in order to try to find it. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. It's on ESPN. So that's a common mistake, brother.
No, it's all good. But it was going to happen with Nico Harrison with the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, unfortunately, he's always going to be remembered for the Luka Doncic trade. As general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, his record was 182 and 157, which ended his firing due in November 2025. The Mavericks, during his time, they reached the finals in 2024 and the Western Conference Finals in 2022. He was fired after a 3-8 start to the 2025-2026 season, following a significant drop in team performance after a trade in February 2025, of course, with Luka Doncic. The shocking trade of all, the most shocking trade in sports history, because how could the Dallas Mavericks would trade their perennial all-star, perennial first-team All-NBA player in Luka Doncic to the Dallas Mavericks? No one anticipated this, champ. No one, not even 2K, would approve the trade. That just tells you how astounding the news was. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was Groundhog's Day when we actually heard the news. But to your favor, champ, is working well for your Los Angeles Lakers. Hey, not just with Luka, but also with Austin Reeves.
Yes.
One of the best backcourts, exciting backcourts. And yes, you've made the argument. I saw your TikTok. It's time for them to move on from LeBron James, whether in a trade or whatever. But I think it's best for the Lakers to move on from LeBron. But that's a story for another day. But back to Nico Harrison. He did make the trade for PJ Washington that helped them get to the finals in 2024. 182, 157 record. I still look at Jason Kidd's reaction when the Luka Doncic trade happened, because I still can't believe they would trade Luka. Now, Luka, he was asked about it in a press conference. He says, I love the city of Dallas. And he wasn't expecting to be traded, because normally when a player of Luka's caliber gets traded, it's him asking or requesting a trade, not the team. Now, for whatever reason, the Mavericks, it's been reported that they're trying to move it from Dallas to Las Vegas because of the casinos, the gambling stuff. Who knows what the reason was? Or it could be the money, because you mentioned it on my pod, champ. Would they pay Luka the max at over $300 million? Would they do that? That's another concern that you had to look at for the Dallas Mavericks. But the thing is, you bring in Anthony Davis, you bring in Kyrie Irving. I also sent you an article, champ, from the Athletic. It was reported that Nico Harrison urged Anthony Davis to come back and play. And this is at the time he was away due to the calf strain injury. But the Mavericks medical staff was like, no, we're not bringing him back on the court until he is 100% healthy, because they feared he could rupture his Achilles. And if you look at history, Tyrese Halliburton with the NBA Finals, remember, he suffered a calf strain injury that led to Achilles. Kevin Durant, years ago, he suffered a calf strain injury in the Western Conference semifinals against the Houston Rockets, and then later ruptured the Achilles in the NBA Finals. So I can understand from the Dallas Mavericks standpoint, we just got Anthony Davis in the trade. We know Anthony Davis has had durability problems throughout his career. And I think also for Anthony Davis moving forward, he's going to have to slim down in Dallas because his weight has been up. I mean, did you see the recent photo of him looking a little bit heavy? I mean, it made Champ look a little bit skinny. I mean, that's how bad as it is. I mean, well, after all, it is Dallas. Good eating in Texas. Texas barbecue. That's one thing. Champ, you talk about how the food over there, and shout out to BRF is in the building. How you doing, big fella?
Man, you know how much goddamn work that was to get this freaking desk together, boy. That was some work.
Hey, I spent a good amount of money getting you that desk. So you better appreciate that. That's a good Christmas desk for you.
I know. Hey, For one, I didn't say I didn't. I just said that was a lot of work
I
because
didn't expect you to have that son of
one,
gun up today. I
I
thought you
did.
were gonna have it up by Monday. I didn't expect you to
See it. No, man, no. Okay, I got off. I got off at work a little before 5. I came home, had to go back out, had to get dinner. Came back, ate. Then I started working on it about like I was finished with it. I just got finished with it maybe like 10 minutes, like 10, 15 minutes ago. So, but I mean, I still had to get it settled in. So right now I'm just kind of like, I'm testing it out right now. So hopefully by next week, I'll have it exactly where I want it. But right now I'm just like, look, I wasn't expecting it. So I'm like completely thankful. And this is going to help me out a lot. So I really do appreciate it. But my back is killing me right now. Cause I was literally sitting on the floor, kind of trying to get this thing together. I'm like, okay. This one. I'm like, okay. But once I got it going, it was nothing. Like, so, but yeah, I'm like, bro, like from the bottom of my heart, like I appreciate all y'all even thinking of me to get me something like this. So it means the world. It really does.
Absolutely, BRF. You're more than deserving of
It
it.
really
I'm
does.
glad you enjoy it and use it for good use. But BRF, just to give you some context, we're
Oh,
discussing
absolutely.
for context, BRF, we're discussing about the Nico Harrison
Uh,
trade. Obviously, back to
him getting fired.
yes, we're discussing that right now as we speak. But no surprise, champ BRF,
Okay.
that Nico Harrison was fired. Unfortunately for him, his legacy will always be trading Luka Doncic. I don't understand it. BRF, there was also the report from The Athletic that the Mavericks forbade Anthony Davis to come back to return to play after the calf strain injury. Nico Harrison urged Anthony Davis to come back. I think it's just a culmination of things. You see the Dallas Mavericks where they are this season. They had some expectations with the number 1 overall pick in Cooper Flag, Klay Thompson. Well, only good thing with Klay Thompson, he's with Megan Thee Stallion. So there's nothing. I mean, undisputed world champ is jealous, so we all
I
know
am
that.
jealous, man. Damn, I should have kept boxing. Damn, I should have kept boxing. Shit.
But but like I said, man, it's a culmination of things. Charles Barkley said that he felt like he's being used as a scapegoat, and he mentioned that he is a good friend of Nico Harrison. So I just think it's just a culmination of things that led to the firing of Nico Harrison. I also mentioned that reportedly the Dallas Mavericks are trying to move to Vegas because, again, the gambling, the casinos, things of that nature. They didn't want to pay Luka the supermax money. They tried using his weight, his conditioning as a reason why they traded for him. But still in all, it was a shocking trade. No one's going to forget this at any time soon because no one anticipated this. Not even 2K would approve the trade. That just tells you all you need to know how shocking the trade was. BRF or champ, whoever wants to go on the firing of Nico Harrison.
Oh man, that is not surprising. If you really want me to be honest with you, I thought it was going to take another year. To be honest with you, I thought it was gonna be the duration of this year, and once everything got kind of bad, next year is gonna, But doesn't surprise me if you really want me to be honest with you, because this is arguably one of the worst trades in the history of the NBA. I think the only other trade that I will say is up there with just bad, it has to be the Joe Barry Carroll trade for Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. You trade an all-star for 2 Hall of Famers, that being Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. So yeah, I think that's right up there with that one. I mean, I can't think of, when you think about trades that were bad, you think about the trade that almost was with Golden State. Remember what could have happened at Golden State if it had not been for Jerry West. God bless his soul. Remember, the Golden State Warriors were about to trade Klay Thompson for Kevin Love. They were going to trade Harrison Barnes, a first-round pick, and Klay Thompson for for Harrison Barnes. For Kevin Love. So can you imagine if Jerry West had to step in, what would have happened? But this is of no shock. It took a little bit longer than I expected. It took a little bit less than I expected. But yeah, no shock there.
BRF.
I mean, yeah. Honestly, I don't really see how you can really call Nico Harrison a scapegoat in all this when you think about the Luka Doncic trade and the circumstances that pretty much completely surrounded it. Really, it sealed his fate because he honestly tried to make Luka Doncic out to really be the scapegoat as far as like, you know, the future of this franchise, and to trade a generational guy like Luka is basically telling your fans, we don't think we can get to where we want to be with Luka Doncic, even though you made it to the finals the year before. And then you just up and trade him, and then you tried to say, oh, well, you know, he had a weight issue. And did Luka have a weight issue? Absolutely had a weight issue. It didn't stop him from being an MVP candidate year in and year out. The boy was still balling. I mean, he was damn near guaranteed triple-double every time he stepped foot on the court. It didn't stop him from being one of the 5 best players in the world. It didn't stop him at all. Arguably one of the 3 best players in the world. It didn't stop him. So I just feel like his ineptitude was really his downfall. And the ownership they have there, and you talked about a PSP. The rumor is they want to move the team to Las Vegas, and I think it's kind of like they did not trust Nico Harris's competence at the end of the day. And they felt like they needed to do what was best for the team, what was best for the franchise, and their future outlook as far as where they want to be. I don't know. The whole situation just really feels like a cluster from the standpoint. It's like even with Cooper Flag, even with drafting him as the #1 overall draft pick, it still feels like to me that the Dallas Mavericks, they don't know where they want to go. It's like they still don't have any direction. And now you're looking at possibly from the reports are they're going to try to use the next couple of months. They're going to let Anthony Davis weigh his options as far as trying to get a trade or whatnot. And you can almost rest assured they're going to do the same thing with Kyrie Irving once he gets healthy and he starts to really get himself back on the floor. They're going to do the same thing with him. So you would hope that they would go in the direction of building around Cooper Flag and building around PJ Washington, who they just gave $90 million to. You would definitely think they would build that team around those 2 guys. And now you see kind of a young guy like a Brandon Williams who's come in and really done a bang-up job at the point guard position. And you still have Derek Lively. You still have Daniel Gafford. So, I mean, you have young talent. I think, honestly, at this point with this franchise, you need to focus on that. If I'm the front office now with Mark Cuban, I mean, I think from what I've understand, Mark Cuban is back as far as making the basketball decision. He's coming back making the basketball decision. So if I'm Mark Cuban, you build around that young you have a young nucleus now. You have Cooper Flag, you have PJ Washington, you have Derek Lively. You have to build around those 3. And honestly, I think Daniel Gafford, I think, is a good piece if you want to hold on to him as well. I mean, you got a really good front court with those 2, Lively and PJ Washington. And Derek Lively is definitely one you want to keep. But the thing is do you feel like Daniel Gafford is expendable enough to maybe bring you in some draft capital or like a quality player to bring around? You kind of have to analyze that as the season progresses. I think right now you just have to play it out. But I'm definitely building around that core 3 of Cooper Flag and PJ Washington and Derek Lively. You have to build around those 3 and the veterans you have, and mainly Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. You got to see what you can get for them. You have to kind of rebuild that draft capital coming in, these next couple of years. You have to see what you can get for those 2, because they're kind of getting, they're kind of like in that back end of their prime, going into the twilight of their career. So they're going to want to play for a contending team to want to win a championship before they go out. So basically, I feel like you grant them a wish, and you grant them that wish, and you kind of let them weigh the options, see what's out there, and you try to get the best possible deal you can get for both of them. There's no reason to keep AD and Kyrie with this franchise, which in the direction you hope they go at this point There's no reason to keep either one of those two.
I would keep Kyrie because just in case, because I can't expect much scoring from Cooper Flag at this point as a rookie. I try to move on from Anthony Davis because his durability issues. But if Kyrie can be somewhat what he was, he's capable of giving me 30, 35 points. I mean, his scoring, his ability. So, but they got to clean up house. But luckily for them, Mark Cuban will be back to handling some of the responsibilities for the Dallas Mavericks. That's something that the doctor ordered. That's something that they need, and that they need. And I would hate for a franchise in Dallas to move all the way in Las Vegas, because even though Texas is really known for football, basketball ain't shabby. I mean, their glory days for winning the championship back in 2011, beating the Miami Heat, of course. Sorry, champ. I hate to bring it up. Not only beating the Lakers, they swept the Lakers. And this was at the time when they were the back-to-back NBA champions with Kobe, Bynum, Pau Gasol, Phil Jackson's last year. Then, of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder with Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. So with Mark Cuban back, I hope he can handle some of the responsibilities. I think they'll be fine with Mark Cuban. But as for Nico Harrison, some of the moves, no one's going to forget the Luka Doncic trade. So it was only a matter of time that he was going to be gone.
Do you think that they're seeing also on top of this, right? Do you think also the NBA and as well as Dallas, outside of the want to build a casino in there, outside of building a casino, do you think that they're looking at A'ja Wilson and the fact that Mark Davis is having all the success that they're having in Las Vegas and looking at that and say that's a prime market that we can attack in the NBA? Because the thing is, the Aces have 45 straight sellouts, and they sold out completely in the playoffs. Do you think they're looking at that as well and saying that's a market that we need to attack rather than trying to revisit Seattle?
I would like to see them go back to Seattle because, again, with Vegas, even though Mark Davis as an owner, despite how I feel about him with the Raiders, you cannot deny the results of what he's done with the Aces, with A'ja Wilson and them. And shout out to A'ja Wilson winning the championship. But I would like to see basketball back to having a franchise in Seattle, champ. Just like the WNBA, I want to see a franchise back in Detroit or in Houston in the glory days with the Houston Comets with Cheryl Swoops and Tina Thompson, I think. So I would love to see something like that back to a franchise. But that is an interesting question that you did ask. But of course, that's why I call you the Al Roker of journalism.
Yeah, but I was just thinking that because the thing is, Vegas does have a basketball appeal to it, and it's not just the casinos that I believe they have in store for them. I really believe that they're looking at A'ja Wilson and a lot of these other players that are there already and saying, "Hey, this is a market that we can attack, especially in T-Mobile Arena." And guess what? When they move it to Michelob Ultra Arena, I mean, it's even better. So they've been selling out ever since A'ja Wilson got there. So I believe outside of the casino, they're looking at that market in Las Vegas and saying, hey, if the women's basketball team can sell out, and it was
why not the men's?
Before, yeah, why not the men? And plus, they host every year in Vegas, they host NBA Com there as well.
I think the reason why is, champ, is because, again, with the women's basketball, they're taking it more seriously. And, in Vegas, outside of the boxing, the football with the Raiders, sorry, I mean, the Raiders are just terrible. And boxing nowadays is just not the same unless you want to bring old school fights. I mean, obviously, you heard 2026, Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson fighting each other, which nobody wants to see. I mean, look, champ, if I want to see two old dudes fighting, I'd rather go see them at a bar or a barbecue. We've seen that before. All of us have been to barbecues, cookouts, and stuff of that nature. We see the two drunk old dudes fighting with each other. That's the type of fight we're accustomed to seeing. But with the Las Vegas Aces, a WNBA team with a star like A'ja Wilson, they're taking it seriously. They're giving Vegas fans something to be proud, something to be excited, something to watch. Because if you look outside of that, what do they really have as far as Vegas to entertain other than the market and casinos, sports wise?
Well, they do have the Las Vegas A's. They're coming there. They do have the A's. They're coming. They're moving
That's
from
true.
Oakland to there.
And
And
they also have the Golden Knights too, and it's a shame that you don't really hear about them as much because the Vegas Golden Knights have literally won championships for that city. So it's kind of a shame that they don't really market them in that town like they should.
yes, indeed, they don't market it. I mean, that's the NHL. I mean, ESPN should be ashamed of themselves about how wrong they do the NHL. Just this past week in the NHL, we had Sidney Crosby. He went into number 7 on scoring in points, and then you had Alex Ovechkin. He was the first NHL player to score 900 points back when we was younger. BRF, and back me up on this, when Barry Melrose was on ESPN, that would have been front page news. But the way that it's just the way that it's being marketed right now. I mean, Sidney Crosby and a couple of his teammates, they are the longest playing teammates in the world. They played with each other almost 20 years. There should be more press behind that. Not to mention with the Los Angeles Kings. Los Angeles Kings last year, I think, well, the year before last, they drafted the first black player to go in the first round. You mean to tell me that doesn't deserve any press, especially in the NHL? So, yeah, it's a lot of stuff in Vegas that we are able to market, but you don't necessarily see. The Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, the A's are coming to Las Vegas. Formula One is in Vegas. It's just right about now, the economy's kind of shaky a little bit. You don't hear about a lot of this other stuff.
Shaky.
But we're being nice because this is not political. But when you think about what's going on right about now, you don't really hear about a lot of the sports that's going on. And with the A's, the Oakland A's, the Las Vegas A's now, when you think about it, it was so much controversy more than how they left. Because even the great Reggie Jackson, he made a bid for that team. And it was one of the higher bids they had. And they still did not accept it in order to try to keep them in Oakland. I mean, if you would have told me that 10 years ago that Oakland would not have a sports team and they would not have a stadium in there and all 3 stadiums would be vacant, I would have called you a liar. But right now, none of the Oakland teams, none of the old school Oakland teams are there. The Oakland Raiders, they're going to Las Vegas. When you think about the Golden State Warriors, they went to San Francisco. Yep. Now the Oakland A's, they've gone to Las Vegas and followed up behind. So, yeah, for a sports town like Oakland, and mind you, the Oakland Raiders were terrible for years, and they were still selling out games. You couldn't buy a ticket to a game. The black hole for the Oakland Raiders, it was there. So, yeah, Las Vegas is a huge commodity right about now when it's the sport. That's the entertainment capital of the world. You go up there, you get to live the VIP life, go to a sports, and I think they're trying to make Vegas into a theme park at this point. It's just, I mean, it's crazy.
It is. But fellas, speaking about another firing, y'all touched it on y'all pod, Undisputed GOAT podcast. Brian Daboll fired after, what is it now, 4 years with the New York Giants. He was able to win Coach of the Year in 2022, managed to help the New York Giants make the playoffs, win a playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, he received a reputation because of what he did as the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, the development of Josh Allen. And look, just like what we're going to say about Nico Harrison, the writing was on the wall. Same thing could be said with Brian Daboll. Jackson Dart, 4 times this season, he's in concussion protocol. And they're trying to make him run plays. I saw the games, particularly the Chicago game. I don't know why they're making him run design runs like Josh Allen. And even though Jackson Dart can run, that's not what he's known for. I think it was either UChamp or BRF. I think it was BRF. There's a difference between a running quarterback and a scrambling quarterback. Like with a running quarterback,
yes,
it's designed. You think of a running quarterback, you think Lamar, you think Allen, you think Cam. Scrambling quarterbacks have the ability to run, but they're not asked to run as much. They only when they needed to, and they're very careful with how they run. That was the final straw as far as with Jackson Dart. And you also mentioned this too, champ. He got into it with the sidelines with the offensive lineman. This was early in the season. Brian Daboll, remember the Cowboys game in week 2 in which they should have won that game? So, and also too, I sent y'all the stat. The head coaches with Ben McAdoo, Steve Spagnuolo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, Brian Daboll, their record 53-104-1. 53-104-1 going back to 2016. Brian Daboll has a record of 20-40-1. Now look, BRF champ, y'all mentioned about the possibility that they may bring Bill Belichick back as a head coach in New York. That is a concern for me, even though he's familiar with New York and them. But here's the thing. Bill Belichick right now, you handled the Boston media for so long because of your winning ways and stuff. You look at now in North Carolina, even though you've recently won a few games. How are you going to handle the New York market, the New York media now, given who you are as a 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach? And plus, you talk about distractions. You talk about DYJ, do your job. How are you going to compel these players to do their job, but you're not doing your job with the constant distraction with you and your girlfriend? That's another thing you got to be concerned about. There are other head coaches that they may look at. I sure as hell hope for the New York Giants they don't give John Gruden's ass a chance. And stop telling me because, he's the type of guy. He leads. He's fiery. He's won a Super Bowl. Newsflash, folks, for those who may not know, he won the Super Bowl, but it was Tony Dungy's team. He was the architect for that team with the defense. And Tony Dungy was able to go to Indianapolis and win a Super Bowl elsewhere. John Gruden, what was he able to do since that? And he came back to the Raiders in 2018. How'd that turn out? So
one playoff appearance. That's it.
Yeah, and it wasn't really him. It was the interim head coach.
It was the interim head coach. He went to the damn play.
And John Gruden, he was released because of the emails, because of all the racist, homophobic things that was revealed in those emails. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget Damon Arnett, the gun situation, and of course, Henry Ruggs III. And despite all those controversies that the Raiders had during that time, they were able to make the playoffs under the interim head coach. Now, for the New York Giants, it's a sad, turbulent season because Malik Neighbors out for the season. Cam Scatterboo, undisputed world champ, called it. He's the combination of Christian McCaffrey and Mike Allstott. If the two of them, if they had a baby, Cam Scatterboo would be the love child. And you finally found a legit QB in Jackson Dart, someone out of Ole Miss, played in the SEC football, someone who's competitive, but now 4 concussions in 1 year. So he's going to have to wear a guardian cap in order for him to handle the rest of his career. And when I look at what's going on with the New York Giants, champ, I understand with Bill Belichick, it would be a great narrative for him to go to New York and win a Super Bowl there. But you got to look at other coaches. You got to look at coaches who can come in and step in right away. Times have advanced. Times have changed. And again, if you're going to tell me, DYJ, do your job, are you going to do that? Are you going to do the same? And with Bill Belichick, he hasn't been the same, champ. Ever since the departure of Tom Brady from New England to Tampa, it's been a complete 180. Brady, say whatever you want. He was able to go elsewhere, win a Super Bowl, been to the playoffs. Belichick, only 1 playoff appearance. And with Mac Jones. Look, Mac Jones may not be the best quarterback, and now it's being reported that Brock Purdy will likely start. I think that's a mistake. I think they should continue with Mac Jones, but that's a story for another day. But what you've seen so far with Mac Jones in San Francisco and what you saw with Mac Jones in New England, I mean, come on, champ. They replaced Josh McDaniels and they put in Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as their offensive coordinators. And we know how horrendous of a job Josh McDaniels is as a head coach. We saw Denver, we saw Vegas. But as an offensive coordinator, compared to those two, he looked like a genius. So my thing is with the New York Giants, it's a devastating season. It was time for them to move on from Brian Daboll. Your thoughts?
In the great words of Tony Braxton, it's just another sad love song wrecking my dreams like crazy. That's what the coaching situation is up there at New York, man. And that's just been the narrative ever since Tom Coughlin. And the reason why I make go ahead.
No, they have. Go ahead. Continue, big fella.
That's what's been going on in New York. They've been bringing in these coordinators, and they're really not worth the salt and the bread, and they've really been faltering. Look, I said this on my pod, well, our pod, myself, BRF, and Flash. But the thing is, I really think the mistake that Brian Daboll made was trying to make Jackson Dart the next Josh Allen. Like, you can't keep running him like that. You can't keep running him like that, because the thing is, what's going to happen if you keep him in concussion protocol and he becomes another Andrew Luck or another Joe Burrow? Great quarterback, but can't stay healthy. I mean, you got to watch that, especially with this is his first year already in concussion protocol and been evaluated for concussions 4 times. And the thing is, remember, he got fined remember when Russell Wilson was out there on the field. Remember, he went out there, he went into the concussion tent and got the quarterback out. He got fined $100,000 because of that. Remember what Malik Neighbors said last year. I think it was last year or the year before. Remember, he said this last year. Well, he said this last year. Remember when the press conference happened, he said, man, it ain't the quarterback, man. It ain't the quarterback. Remember, he said that. He said it live in a press conference. It ain't the quarterback, man. Let's stop blaming the quarterback. It ain't the quarterback. So if apparently he was talking about Brian Daboll. And these guys, look, just because these guys are great offensive coordinators does not make them great head coaches. It does not. We've seen way too many times where these offensive coordinators are just great offensive coordinators. Josh McDaniels being the poster boy of that.
Brian Callahan, Mike McDaniel,
Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan's dad, ironically, inherited a team out there in Oakland from John Gruden and didn't do anything. Yeah. I mean, Norv Turner, he was probably the best he's probably the best example of an offensive coordinator, but he was not that coach that could push you forward. He was a good coach, not a great coach. And the reason why he got his job was because of the triplets.
Yes.
But it's good to see him go. I cannot wait to see what this team is going to do as far as what kind of coach they're going to bring in. The reason I make the argument for myself and BRF make the argument for Bill Belichick is, number one, you have talent on this team. Now, he would need to bring in one hell of an offensive coordinator, because if you're bringing in your Patriot guys, good luck with that. I don't think you should bring in your Patriot guys.
That's another concern, champ.
Yes, you don't need to bring in your Patriot guys. Keep your Patriot guys. Your Patriot guys are doing good in New England. Let them have their moments with Drake May and Mike Vrabel. Don't bring your Patriot guys in. If you're going to bring in some guys, bring in some new fresh meat so you can have yourself squared away.
He may bring in Bill O'Brien, though.
I wouldn't mind having Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien was pretty good as offense coordinator.
He was, but here's the problem.
He was too hard-nosed.
He is hard-nosed, and we saw the incident between him and Brady on the sidelines against my football team, champ. But here's the problem. he better not be promoted as a head coach again or a general manager, because you saw what happened with Bill O'Brien with the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
But
we
the
saw
thing
it.
is, champ, if he becomes the head coach of this team, he's gonna hire people from his coaching tree, and you have talent, so that's gonna be a concern there.
Yeah, I would recommend he bring in his guys. I would recommend he bring in some fresh meat. Look, he has the talent on this team in order to do something. He has the defensive talent on this team. He has the offensive talent on this team. I believe that him in the Big Apple, I don't think the Big Apple can intimidate him. When you talk about coaches that does not let their environment intimidate them, Bill Belichick is one of them. And people are talking about how Bill is not doing good at the college level. Listen, one of the greatest coaches of all time, Bill Walsh, when he went to college, when he went back to Stanford, ironically, he was there for 3 years. You know how many winning seasons that Bill Walsh had? He had one winning season in Stanford once he went back to Stanford, and he won the Blockbuster Bowl. He had one winning season, but yet he was considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. He, in turn, went back to the San Francisco 49ers and became their general manager. But, you know, in college, he had that one good season at Stanford to start his career, and he had that one good season at Stanford to end his career. So it's not uncommon to see coaches who were on that pro level, who was that guy at the pro level, go back and not necessarily have that big, huge success. For Bill Belichick, I think that he could come into here and have the defensive mind in order to use these players in the correct way. I think that he can use a Brian Burns in the correct way. I think that he can use an Abdul Carter in the correct way. I think that he can use Dexter Lawrence the way he used Vince Wilfork. I think that he can use a Kayvon Thibodeau. Only thing they need is help on the back end as far as cornerback is concerned. As far as offense is concerned, I think that they need offensive line help, and they need another wide receiver outside of Malik Neighbors as well. I think that this team has talent. They need a kick in the pants, and they need a jump start. And I think Bill Belichick could do that if he's willing to adjust. I think BRF ball at this point. If I'm him, or even Brian Flores, I think Brian Flores would be a good fit for this organization because he doesn't let anything intimidate him. You need, if you're the New York Giants, you need to do what works. You need to hire a hard-nosed, no-nonsense head coach that is not intimidated by the Big Apple. Brian Flores and Bill Belichick are those two coaches. And if they are smart, they're keeping their eyes out on what's going on in Miami to see if they could bring in, as their offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniels. He's not good as a head coach, but as you see with Josh McDaniels, he's a good offensive coordinator. So I'm keeping my eyes out on what's going on. And I'm keeping my eyes on what's going on with Eric Bieniemy as well, to see if we could give him another shot at being a coordinator. So there's a lot of people that you can bring in to necessarily get that stink off you when it comes to the Patriot way. Because the thing is, those coaches went elsewhere and they wasn't as good as you thought they were. I think the two that had the most success is Bill O'Brien and Charlie Weiss when he was in Notre Dame. And
Outside
people
of
all
that,
remember.
no one else. You
And when
look at all
people
the other head
remember,
coaches. Romeo Crennel, that didn't turn out so well.
no, he had one winning season in Cleveland. But
Yeah.
when you think about those guys in New England, they did not do good when they went elsewhere. Like I said, with the exception of Bill O'Brien and Charlie Weiss. And the only reason people remember Charlie Weiss for his tenure at Notre Dame was because of the Reggie Bush game.
Yes.
But he has to hire some people outside of that Patriot way. And because it still works if you're with the Patriots. You see the Patriot way working again in New England. But it's not going to work when you keep taking it everywhere. You can't take it outside of New England. New England has the environment for you to flourish with the Patriot way. Mike Vrabel is succeeding with the Patriot way, and he's succeeding with the offensive coordinator that was one of the cornerstones of the Patriot way. It works in New England. It just doesn't work when you take it everywhere else. So you're going to have to hire an offensive coordinator that's worth his salt, a defensive coordinator that's worth his salt, and you're going to have to get some correct guys in place if you're Bill Belichick or if you're Brian Flores. Like I stated, and BRF, this, like I said, me and you talked about this. New York needs to repeat the cycle. Bill Parcells did not let the Big Apple intimidate him. Jim Fossil, God rest his soul, he went to a Super Bowl in New York. Granted, they got shellacked by the Baltimore Ravens, but he did not let the Big Apple intimidate him. Tom Coughlin did not let the Big Apple intimidate him. They need to hire either Brian Flores or Bill Belichick, guys who you know, the Big Apple, the Rotten Apple, or whatever apple you want to call it. This does not scare me, and the New York media doesn't mean anything to me. You can talk all you want to. I'm going to win football games. That's what they need.
BRF, is there anything you want to add?
I guess as far as the Giants head coaching job is concerned, you really gotta. There's going to be options out there. I mean, and it's not, like I said, it's not just, Brian Flores and Bill Belichick. You got to look at other situations, other organizations, and see who gets freed up. Whether it's Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland, if he gets freed up, Mike McDaniel in Miami, whether he gets freed up. You got a guy like a Joe Brady with Buffalo, their offensive coordinator. You got a guy like that. So I mean, there definitely going to be options out. There are going to be options out there. Heck, they're starting to throw the Lane Kiffin name around as far as head coaching Vegas is concerned.
All because of Jackson Dart.
Exactly. He's that Ole Miss connection. So they're throwing his name out there too, as far as the head coach of Vegas is concerned. So if I'm the New York Giants, you got to be smart. I'm with Champ. You need a hard-nosed dude that's going to come in, put his nose to the grindstone, and understand what it's going to take to win. And you just can't let the spotlight get to him. Brian Flores, I think, would definitely make a lot of sense. I personally think they do need to get a defensive first guy as a head coach to really put that front seven, that defense on the forefront, and really make them the focal point of what that team should be. Because I said you can make a case that the New York Giants front seven is the best individual unit in that entire division. That includes the Philadelphia offense, that includes the Dallas Cowboys offense. The New York Giants front seven is up there as a unit with any singular unit in that division. I'm getting a hard-nosed guy that can put them on the front but really fix that back end, and particularly get a corner that is actually good at covering in order to take that pressure off of the pass rush. Just having to beat that guy on every single down, because a good defense isn't necessarily getting sacks every single play. A good defense is speeding up a quarterback's clock to where you're getting them off their rhythm and they're making bad throws to where your back four can make plays when you're pressuring the quarterback and you getting him out of his rhythm. I'm with Champ. It doesn't even if it's not a Brian Flores or a Bill Belichick. The reason why I brought up Bill Belichick during the Undisputed is simply from the fact of the splash name, because I mean Bill Belichick is still a splash. That's that hire you get when you want to just get on the front page of the New York Times. That's what a Bill Belichick is. He's not my first choice. I mean, I would go younger, but I personally think they need to go a guy who can put that defensive focus like immediately, just hard nosed, bring your lunch pail to work, just get on it day in and day out and kind of rebuild and reshape that culture. What won them 2 championships in 2007 and 2011 with Tom Coughlin. So that's where I think they really need to go. They need to get back. They need to get back. They need to get back on the grind.
All right. I think Brian Flores would be the best candidate. Joe Brady would be another good one. Lane Kiffin, the only reason why he would consider it because, again, Jackson Dart. But I think Ole Miss would be foolish to let him walk out the door. And I don't know. Who knows? Last time we saw Lane Kiffin as a head coach was his days with the Oakland Raiders. Although I will say this in Lane Kiffin's defense, he was the one who tried to convince Al Davis to draft Calvin Johnson with the number 1 overall pick. not Jamarcus Russell. Remember, Al Davis drafted Jamarcus Russell because of the hype the Jamarcus Russell was coming out of LSU, 6'6", 265. And on top of that, the game against the Notre Dame, the All-State Sugar Bowl game.
Yes.
From that point, Al Davis was sold on with Jamarcus Russell. Bill Belichick, no. I think with Bill Belichick, you got like I said, BRF and Champ, you have to show me if you're going to talk about DYJ, do your job. I don't look at Belichick the same anymore in terms of leadership because I see the constant distractions with you and your girlfriend. Now, granted, with North Carolina, it's your first year. You don't have the talent, but at the same time, I cannot hear about distractions. I shouldn't have to hear distractions, especially of a head coach as you are. If we said this about Deion Sanders, what would we be saying? And it's so quick and easy to bring up, obviously, but at the same time, considering as great as you are, Belichick, you talk about DYJ, you talk about leadership, you talk about keeping things. As you mentioned, Champ, Phil Jackson, he talks about mastering, leading yourself, even though to a lot of black people, they may look at that, they don't take it too well because of obviously mastering. But when you talk about leadership, when you talk about being your own leader, with Brian Flores, I would like it. I think he would do a better job handling the New York media now than Belichick because I think the New York media would press Belichick to ask questions. They're not going to look at Bill Belichick anymore as the 6-time Super Bowl champion head coach in New England. And you look at how he's handling it with North Carolina. My thing is, if you can't handle it in North Carolina, what makes you think you can handle it in New York? So you also have to lead by example. But I think it should be Brian Flores, maybe Joe Brady. I don't see him becoming a college football head coach. That's not something that he wants to do. But I hope they don't consider John Gruden. That's my thing. That's the biggest thing for me because with John Gruden, look, I'm not saying that John Gruden doesn't deserve a second chance because of the emails or everything else, but stop trying to convince me that he should be a head coach or was he a good head coach because he really wasn't. He's a good offensive mind. Matter of fact, in fairness to John Gruden, I love the QB camps that he does. He actually said that Patrick Mahomes was the best quarterback amongst the draft back in 2017. He has a good offensive mind, and he's fiery. But so are a lot of people. But what about the results? And the thing is, you saw what he was in Vegas. So what makes you convinced he should be the head coach again? Am I being unfair, Champ? Because again,
No.
I like with the group chat and Shad, I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about as far as John Gruden becoming a head coach?
John Gruden and Brian Billick. You remember who Brian Billick, right?
Yeah, the former head coach of the Ravens. They won the Super Bowl back in 2001. You know
the same dudes. They are the same dudes. Two guys who looked into a historic defense and didn't do a darn thing after that. Didn't do anything after that. John Gruden did not win a playoff game after that. Ran Cadillac Williams into the ground. Michael Clayton got one good season after that. You know, when he drafted Michael Clayton, he was rookie of the year out of LSU. One of the forgotten great wide receivers at LSU. Alston got Rich McKay fired. The guy who helped build the team. That's the thing about it. He got Rich McKay fired, the guy who helped build that team. That was the thing about it. He got Rich McKay fired because they was bumping heads in the front office.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, they bring you back to Las Vegas because they thought they was going to recapture that magic. And you did nothing. In fact, they didn't start winning until you got the hell off the field.
That was the interim head coach, given all those problems that they had with the organization from Henry Ruggs III, Damon Arnett. So Why should
I
you be
mean,
back as a head
Antonio
coach?
Brown.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It doesn't make sense. Now again, it's because of younger generation. They may look at it and view it differently, but we know ball, champ. We know that John Gruden has no business of becoming a head coach again. And again, it's not to say that he doesn't deserve a second chance regarding the emails and things of that nature. But given your results, you would it was easy for Vegas to move on from you.
Again, I believe that. Look, I don't think it. Look, I'm just gonna be real. I don't think it was an accident that those emails were magically leaked all of a sudden. I
Well,
don't
he
think
was
it's
exchanging them with Bruce.
Bruce
Beamer.
Allen.
Yeah.
Bruce Allen. Which, I don't think it was by accident that those got leaked, and you are in like your third or fourth year in Las Vegas, and you still haven't done anything.
And the only reason why Bruce Allen was mentioned because again they were investigating Washington throughout the whole sexual misconduct workplace.
Yes.
So
I don't think it's by accident that they got leaked and all of a sudden you're fired. Because I mean, John Gruden inherited that team in Tampa Bay. You saw that Tony Dungy was a good coach because he went to
Indianapolis,
and he was able to lead them to a Super Bowl, and
become the first black coach to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. But you saw that he was a good coach because it took them some time in order to get to where they were. And mind you, before Tony Dungy got there, they were 6-10. With that talent that they were 6-10 the year before Tony Dungy got there. They went from 13-3 to 6-10 under Coach Jim Mora. If y'all don't know who Jim Mora is, playoffs, that's him. So
not a game. I just want. No, that's Allen Iverson. I just want to win a game.
Another game, but he was able to lead them from a 6-10 record to bring them back to where they needed to be. And I mean, you saw that and the thing is, here's my thing. For people who are always going to say, well, look, here's the example that I love to use. For those of you who know ball, there was a coach by the name of George Seifert in San Francisco. He inherited a team from Bill Walsh, one of the greatest coaches of all time. And he won a Super Bowl with that team, that Joe Montana team that was led by Ronnie Lott, Roger Craig, all of those guys. He won with that team. He inherited that team. Years later, he had to overcome the adversity of the Dallas Cowboys dynasty in order to win his own Super Bowl with his own team. He was able to do that in 1994 and become a two-time winner as far as the Super Bowl. So that first team that George Seifert had in San Francisco, it's safe to say, well, he inherited that team from Bill Walsh. Fair enough. But that second team that he won a Super Bowl with, they didn't have the only holdover from that team, that first Super Bowl that George Seifert had was Jerry Rice himself. Everybody else, Ronnie Lott, Charles Haley, all of those guys were gone that second Super Bowl. So hardly any of those guys from that first Super Bowl was on George Seifert's second Super Bowl. So that was his team. That is how you win your own Super Bowl, not just a team you inherited. John Gruden inherited that team, much like Brian Billick inherited that defense in Baltimore. They both inherited great defenses. They had the talent both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. Remember, they had Jamal Lewis, who was a workhorse, had that 2,000-yard season and couldn't get anywhere. Didn't get past the Titans that year in the wild card round. And that's how come he was eventually fired, because he didn't do anything after that Super Bowl year. Thank God that he didn't get his hands on Flacco. Now, he had some problems developing the quarterback and a little bit of everything like that, things that were beyond his control. But again, to me, Brian Billick and John Gruden are one and the same. Two offensive-minded coaches. Offensive. You remember John Gruden was boy wonder up there in Philadelphia and Green Bay. And remember, Brian Billick was the offensive coordinator for that 98 Vikings team that we beat in the NFC Championship, by the way. And he was the architect of that offensive team. And guess what? He never could generate enough offense to go along with that defense. That's how come John Harbaugh was hired, and he was eventually fired. So John Gruden and Brian Billick are one and the same. Two guys, two coaches, offensive-minded, that inherited great defenses, had that one magical year, and didn't do squat after that. They're one and the same. And they tried to bring him back to try to correct the mistake that they made back in 2001 when they traded him for a bunch of draft picks that showed how inept the Las Vegas organization was back then, because you got a bunch of first-round picks that was not able to build off of that Super Bowl team, off of that veteran team that you had just made the Super Bowl with. That just goes to show how inept that organization was. And as you saw, the coach that they had replaced John Gruden with, Bill Callahan, he didn't do anything in Oakland anymore after that year, or in Nebraska. So, yeah, they're one and the same. Two offensive-minded coaches that inherited great defenses. They didn't do anything before that, and they didn't do anything after that. The main thing about John Gruden when he was in Oakland, that was a weak division. Marty Schottenheimer, he was gone. The San Diego Chargers, back then they were San Diego Chargers, they were fresh off of the Ryan Leaf incident. So guess what? They were rebuilding their team.
Yeah,
So
and
the only
it
team
took them a
across-
while in order for them to develop, and then they were able to make the playoffs and win the division in 2004.
Yes, and then on top of that, when John Gruden first got to the division, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, John Elway, had just retired. They was trying to find their way at the quarterback position in Denver. So guess what? It's kind of easy to go into a division when every damn team is rebuilding and you're the only game in town.
And it's not like John Gruden turned life or changed life in Oakland or in Tampa Bay. It's not like the old expression, he made chicken salad out of chicken shit. He was surrounded with very good circumstances and was able to make the most out of it. But BRF, like I said, man, I don't think John Gruden should be back as a head coach. I'm not saying that because of the emails or everything else, but he didn't really change or turn life in Vegas. He was back there in Vegas back in 2018. He should have kept he should have kept the job on Monday Night Football. He signed that 10-year, $100 million contract, and he didn't really change life. I mean, look, some of the picks. I mean, the 4th overall pick, they drafted Keelan Farrell with the 4th overall pick. How did that turn out?
That didn't turn good at all. Like John Gruden was like, he was never really a culture changer his time as a head coach. And he was never really a culture changer. He, like we all remember that Tampa Bay stint. He basically was blessed with one of the greatest defenses of the 21st century with Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice and John Lynch, Rondé Barber, Derek Brooks. He had it made with that defense. And then when it was time for him to, when it was time for him to find the groceries, and when it was time for him to really cook, the only thing he could do was boil hot dogs. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything.
So, just said spam and potty meat.
I'll give him hot dogs. He won a little bit here and there, but he wasn't consistent enough. And
don't give him hot dogs.
He wasn't consistent.
Buying the sausages.
Oh God, that's what it was. That's what it was at second stint in Vegas. That's exactly what it was. It was potty meat. That's what it was in Vegas. That's what it was at second stint in Vegas. It was potty meat. Because I don't know, man. John Gruden. Oh yeah, well, yeah, it was definitely that bad that stint in Vegas. I mean, John Gruden is probably one of the most overrated coaches in our lifetimes. Because I mean, yes, I mean, can he talk offensive football with the best of them? Absolutely. When in terms of just sheer being a head coach and being a leader of men, John Gruden was never like that. I mean, he was just never like that. So yeah, if I'm an NFL franchise, John Gruden is probably not in my top 5 picks as far as trying to find a head coach. I would not be. Let John Gruden do what he's doing on YouTube. His Gruden grinders. What he does on YouTube is all. Let him stick to that. Don't bring him back in the NFL as a head coach. Let him stay. Let him stay behind the camera. Let him do what he's doing. He does a great job at that. He does not need to be a head coach.
Exactly. Look, fellas, I hate talking about Stephen A. Smith, but Stephen A. Smith, look, he got a lot of blowback past few weeks for the comments he made about with Jasmine Crockett. Recently he's gone after Michelle Beadle and Carrie Champion. Now, Michelle Beadle has been one of Stephen A. Smith's outspoken critics outside of one Jason Lee Whitlock. Michelle Beadle, she criticized Stephen A. Smith, particularly back in 2014, the controversial comments he made about Ray Rice, which led to his week suspension from ESPN. She recently said that, I pray for his downfall, even though that she's not a religious person. Stephen A. Smith had a lot to say about Michelle Beadle, and Carrie Champion basically did a viral video calling out Stephen A. Smith, saying, look, you're so quick to call out Jasmine Crockett and Jamel Hill. Are you going to keep the same energy? In other words, are you going to hold white women or white people to the same standard as you hold black women or black people? And Stephen A. Smith basically said that you should be ashamed of yourself. And as a matter of fact, Stephen A. Smith claimed that he was the primary reason that Carrie Champion joined ESPN back in 2012 to work with First Take, along with him and Skip Bayless. So my thing was, look, I wanted to hear what Stephen A. Smith had to say regarding that. It's kind of reminiscent to me with what he had to say about Jason Whitlock, because for so long, Jason Whitlock had a lot to say about Stephen A. Smith regarding his book. And I felt like at a certain point in time, Stephen A. Smith had to say something. He can't just be silent. So now he finally had a lot to say. I kind of like what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I don't always feel sorry for him because a lot of times his mouth does get him into trouble, especially when he's not doing homework or research. And in fairness to him, Champ, we talked about this prior to the show. He has called out people who are white. Remember, he called out Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
I mean, he also called out Will Cain. He also will call out some people here and there. My problem is with Stephen A. Smith. I do think his mouth, his personality does get him in a lot of trouble. I do think he needs to be more mindful. He needs to go back to journalism and reporting and doing the research. Like I said, Champ, again, it's coming from Michelle Obama of all people. If Michelle Obama, the former first lady, is talking about ESPN, like reality TV, like the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and saying that Stephen A. Smith would be an ideal housewife. And again, this is coming from Michelle Obama, not Barack Obama. Not to say that Michelle Obama doesn't know sports, but it's very rare that you hear her talk about sports. And for her, of all people, to say that, that resonates. So, like I said, Stephen A. Smith and other people in journalism, they need to go back to the journalism days. I used to miss the days of Michael Wilbon, Stuart Scott, rest his soul, John Clayton, rest his soul, Chris Morrison, rest his soul, reporting. Nowadays, it's just all about hot takes and stuff. That's why I get turned off. That's why I don't watch ESPN as much anymore. But as it pertains to him calling out Michelle Beadle, it's obvious jealousy and envy because Stephen A. Smith, like it or not, he is the face of that company alongside with Pat McAfee. He makes a ton of money. People love hearing what Stephen A. Smith has to say. He's controversial. He's unapologetic about that. Only when necessary, he will apologize. He will own up to his mistakes. But don't poke the bear. Just be careful who you poke, because you don't know when that bear is going to retaliate. So I had no problem with what he had to say regarding his response to Michelle Beadle and Carrie Champion. I do think there comes a point in which you're going to have to say something about that. I still have issues looking at Stephen A. Smith the same, because I still feel like if you're going to go on the air and discuss things, particularly with politics, like Roland Martin said, please do your homework or research and be exactly what you're known for being, which is a journalist, which is having the number one important component when it comes to journalism, and that's integrity. And that's reporting the facts, reporting the truth, rather than just giving opinions and assessments. But I'm glad that he had to say something about it. Whether anyone liked it or not, I'm just glad that he finally had something to say, because again, you can't keep holding it too long. Eventually, you're going to have to say something, because by you not saying something about it, by you remaining silent, that means you're condoning, you're allowing them to say all these things about you. So, BRF or champ, does anyone want to go?
I'll go. I'll go first this time. Are you sure?
Go ahead, BRF. My bad.
Okay. No, you good. Yeah, no, I'll take it. No, because like I kind of had a feeling we were going to touch this subject, so I kind of wanted to do a little research on the matter because I listened to Carrie Champion voice her opinion and say what she had to say. Because basically, Carrie Champion, yeah, like you said, Carrie Champion was coming from a place of like, keep that same energy. You kind of unleashed on Jasmine Crockett. She said you unleashed on Jamel Hill, and like I've never really heard him on air say anything as far as Carrie Champion is concerned. Because she said something in her piece saying that he kind of said something about her, and I don't think he never really said anything as far as Carrie Champion is concerned. But I will say this much: when Carrie Champion wasn't held by ESPN, you didn't really hear Stephen A. Yeah, he might have came out and was like, man, that was the reason you had the job. That was the reason you got the job. I was the reason, because you were at the tennis channel before you joined ESPN and you joined First Take. That was the reason they brought you over. But I'm like, it's like, yeah, you might have done that. But I mean, where were you to help her, preserve her job? You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna go to bat that much for saying, I got her there, maybe you should have did a little bit more to keep her there, because Carrie Champion was one of the best moderators he had on First Take. Carrie Champion was one of the better moderators he had on First Take. So I mean, that's not saying for less. Like, she was really good being a moderator for him and Skip Bayless. So I didn't really hear much as far as like him trying to preserve, keep her there. So I kind of get what Carrie Champion was coming from as far as that matter. And I agree to an extent, even though Stephen A. did come out and basically got at Michelle Beadle, even though he never really said by name, but we all knew who he was talking about at the time. We knew he was talking about Michelle Beadle. I felt like from Michelle Beadle's perspective, I think it's a little bit sour grapes from the standpoint of like, Stephen A. Smith started as a journalist, and he was kind of like, I don't want to say like force fed into TV, but I mean, he kind of jumped into it, and then he jumped into it, and immediately he blew up, and he's where he's at now. Whereas Michelle Beadle had been kind of on the grind for a little bit, She did Sports Nation. She was, she had been on TV for a while, and she had never really got like that she never really got that push like that. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit of sour grapes, a little bit of jealousy from her perspective. I always want to call him out every chance she can. Now, granted, whether you agree with everything he said or not, as far as the Ray Rice situation is concerned, I think Michelle Beadle's always kind of had that nose up kind of approach with Stephen A. Smith. And so I definitely don't blame Stephen A. Smith for going at her, but I will say this: I do kind of agree with Carrie Champion from a standpoint of the energy wasn't really the same. Like I said, we knew him, but he didn't really he didn't put a name on it. He didn't put his chest into it. He didn't just flat out say Michelle Beadle and then just go into it. He kind of did it kind of generalized and didn't really state by name. Like with Jasmine Crockett, he let everybody know she was who he was talking about.
Stephen A. Smith
So
can be a
and
little
like
slick. Stephen A. Smith can be a little slick from time to
yeah,
time, BRF, because remember,
yeah,
we knew
exactly.
before he never mentioned Jason Whitlock's name. But what do you think he was referring to when he used the term fat bastard?
Oh, we knew exactly who he was talking about. We knew exactly who he was talking about. He called that man straight. He called that man straight up a fat POS. We knew exactly who he was talking about. We knew who he was talking about. So Stephen A. Smith could be a little. It could be a little sneaky underhand. He could be a little backhanded with it. We've seen it on multiple occasions. So, but I don't know. It's just a lot of. It's a lot of unnecessary drama. It's just a lot of just. Yeah, like what you said, PSP. I miss the days of Stuart Scott and John Anderson and Rich Eisen and Dan Patrick and just I miss those days where it was the highlights. It was all about the highlights. It was all about the journalism. It was all about putting sports on the main marquee. And nowadays it's just sports is it's basically there for like it's a clickbaiter's dream is what it is nowadays, and it's not as fun as it used to be. So I just feel like all this is just like a whole bunch of unnecessary drama that we really have to hear about from the standpoint of like as far as ESPN is concerned, what else are we gonna really get? They still air the games and all that stuff. We get Sports Center, we still get highlights, but honestly, like the sheer pure art of journalism, like where is that at with ESPN now? We're not getting it. So it's almost like ESPN's kind of like
it's an afterthought.
Bought into this. It is. It's bought into this new age world of just sheer, I don't know, outlandishness. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's like just.
But I kind of like it. You know why? You know why I kind of like it? To Champ's point, podcasting is the new HBO. Remember, Champ, how you talked about HBO, how it was as far as doing all these things? Hey, podcasting is the new landscape. Because again, how do you think Michelle Obama would say ESPN is like reality TV? She had to be watching our podcast because we've been saying this for the longest about ESPN, Fox Sports, and all that stuff. Whether Michelle Obama admits it or not, hey, Michelle, you had to be watching our pod because, again, we've been saying the stuff about ESPN and so many networks nowadays because it's not going by actual factual journalism and reporting. It's just takes. It's just Real Housewives of Atlanta. It's like Love and Hip Hop. It's like The Real World. It's like the Kardashians. And I'm like, that's fine if I'm trying to Netflix and chill or something like that. But when I'm trying to watch ESPN, I'm trying to watch the actual sports, the reporting, the Scott Van Pelt's, like I said, John Clayton, the Chris Wardson, the Stuart Scott, Chris Berman, the great Chris Berman with Tom Jackson. That's what I want to hear. But nowadays, we're just more interested in ridiculous, outlandish takes, and it takes away from the joy. And my thing is with Stephen A. Smith, I don't really have a problem with him saying it, like I said, because it's going to come a matter of time in which you're going to say it. Cam Newton had something to say about it on his 4th and 1 podcast. He does kind of like how the way Stephen A. when he does his podcast, how it's owned, how he controls it, kind of like how Cam controls 4th and 1. Now, look, my thing is with Michelle Beto, it's obvious to your point, BRF, sour grapes, because you're just jealous and upset that your career didn't pan out the way didn't pan out the way you want, just like with Stephen A. with his career. Stephen A.'s career has panned out, is making $1 gazillion. Although, in my opinion, I still wouldn't vote for him for president. He may try to run for president. I wouldn't vote for him. Neither would Champ. I don't know about you, BRF, but that's
I would honestly the way the moves he's been making in the media as of late, as far as like certain takes and the way he's spoken out on politics and stuff like that. I wouldn't trust that man as far as I could throw him.
I wouldn't trust him. Same way I wouldn't trust the Washington Commanders trying to build a new stadium, and name it after our current president, which that's a story for another day. I don't trust that.
Whoa.
Big fella.
Yeah. Oof.
I had to throw that in. There.
After certain emails and came out, let's just say I don't see that happening.
Don't
I don't
do
see
that.
that happening.
No.
I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening.
Don't do that.
I'm
You'll get her kicked off the damn L. You'll get her kicked off the L.
well, okay.
Cancel culture.
Okay. I'll watch what I say. Okay. I'll be good, champ. I'll be good.
Shit, you gonna get her kicked off the damn L.
Okay. My bad.
Yeah. Oh man. Shit. Look, number one, I don't have no problem with Stephen A. clapping back at everybody. I have no problem with it. And I don't like the false narrative that you don't ever check white reporters. Did he not check Clay Travis on the air? Because we know how controversial Clay Travis is about what he said about DEI back in 2024. Did he not say anything about that? Did he not say anything on Sean Hannity's show about integrity when it was involving the current president, the seating president, during the presidential election? Did he not say anything when it came to Kim Mulkey about how rude she was with the reporter when they lost in the Elite Eight when she asked, how many Final Fours have you been in? Did he not say anything? Even with the Colin Kaepernick situation, before that situation kind of turned sour, did he not speak up to a lot of his white constituents, including Will Cain? Did he not? We need to stop the false narratives. I understand that Stephen A. is kind of an easy guy to hate because he's the face of corporate sports. He's the face of corporate sports. But we need to get out of the situation saying, well, he don't have this energy. Yes, he has. Clay Travis is probably one of the most controversial journalists that we've ever seen. He's the one that came out and said after the Las Vegas Aces went back-to-back in the W before Caitlin Clark, he's the one who said, I could find a high school team to be the WNBA champions. He's the one that said that. So he's one of the kings of the hot takes. So the thing is, look, I will say this. If you don't want me to say anything about you, stay off my radar. Don't come around here breathing my air just because you want to say something and let yourself be known. I understand that, guess what? Hey, we can say whatever we want to about Stephen A. Smith, but guess what? He didn't say anything about the First Lady. He didn't say anything until she came out and said something. He didn't say anything about Jason Whitlock until he came out and kept saying something. He didn't say anything about Michelle Beale until she kept poking the bear. The only person that you can really say Stephen A. Smith is like, bro, you were dead ass wrong for that, was Jasmine Crockett. And he apologized. And the thing is this, if you ever notice, black journalists, we're the only damn ones beefing in the damn media. Because, oh, you don't have that smoke for so-and-so. Your memory must be short. Because I remember him checking Will Cain directly on First Take. I remember him checking Clay Travis. And I'm not a Stephen A. fan, but I remember all of this. So all of this, just because you are of my race, that you don't deserve to be checked about something, guess what? That's not true. Black journalists, you don't never hear any other journalists of any other nationalities going at each other in the media other than black journalists. Well, you don't have that smoke for so-and-so. Probably because they're not mentioning my damn name. Have you heard Skip Bayless come out and talk about Stephen A. Smith in a bad way? No. Have you heard Max Kellerman, although he has every reason to say something bad about Stephen A. Smith, have you heard him come out and say anything bad about Stephen A?
Neither is Brian Windhorst.
No.
Neither is Brian Windhorst.
Brian Windhorst, no.
Rachel Nichols,
no.
Not to my knowledge.
So everybody who is, you don't have smoke for, okay, these cats ain't talking about me. You are. Maybe if y'all stop talking about me, maybe I have some smoke for somebody else. But right now, we're talking about you. I got smoke for you because you're talking about me. I'm not talking about you. That's the thing. It'd be like It'd be like somebody talking about. It'd be like us making it big, and me talking about BRF. Like, what the hell is that? Like, really? You couldn't have called nobody or said anything like that? That's the thing. You don't have smoke for all of these white guys. Okay, these white guys are not talking about me. Move on. They're not talking about me. Guys who have Max Kellerman has every reason to go out to the media and blast Stephen A. because he has openly admitted that he got rid of him. He's openly admitted that he got rid of Max Kellerman. Did he not, BRF?
It pretty much came out. He was like one of the main kind of talking points as far as why Max Kellerman's not here.
Exactly. And Stephen A. came out and openly admitted that he was the reason why Max was no longer on the show. And Max Kellerman has every reason to say something. Skip Bayless. Nobody is saying anything. Y'all are saying stuff about me. So that's why I got all the smoke about you. It's kind of like
we haven't even heard anything from Molly Karam as well either.
Exactly. We haven't heard from any of these guys or women. I will say, I'm not trying to be sexist. We haven't heard anything from anybody who has worked with Stephen A. at this point, outside of African American journalists. Everybody else has been relatively silent. Like I said, Max Kellerman has every reason to come out and blast Stephen A. He has every reason to blast him. He has every reason to say something, but he hasn't. So all of this, you don't have smoke for the white journalists because they're not talking about me. And when they come out and they say something, I address it and I move forward. You can't expect me to give you preferential treatment just because you of my race. You say something about me, guess what? I'm going to come at you. Like I stated, the only problem I had is with the whole Jasmine Crockett situation. You didn't have to say anything at all about that situation, especially if you're not doing your research about it. Guess what? Okay.
But you also have a problem with what he said about LeBron, especially how he falsely claimed LeBron did not attend Kobe's memorial.
Yes, and that situation, a few situations, yes. But as far as, well, you don't have smoke for this, okay, they're not talking about me.
But why?
None of my white constituents are talking about me. None of them. It's always y'all. It's always y'all, you know what's talking about me as a black man. But then when I clap back and I say what I have to say, well, you got all the smoke. Yeah, because them ain't talking about me. Yous is. So stop with this whole thing of I want to be a victim that bad when you get clapped on. Because the thing is, we were taught at an early age down south, don't pass no lick if you can't take one.
Right.
Or so if you don't want your ass can't cash.
That too. Because sometimes the checks are huge. And sometimes you can get overdrafted.
Or bounce.
So you can get overdrafted and end up in a negative balance. So the thing is this. If you want me to have smoke for all of these other journalists, I will wait until they're talking about me. When they're talking about me, I'll come out and I'll blast them just like I would anybody else. But it's never my white constituents who are talking about me. It's always you blank blanks. So let's just leave it at that. You can't come out here. And like I stated, outside of Jasmine Crockett and LeBron, guess what? No, guess what? What has he said about Cari Champion? I went and did all types of research. Nope. What did he say about Jemele Hill? Nope.
He didn't really have any negative things to say about any of them. It's
exactly.
Just that my thing is with Cari Champion, why did you have to bring race into the equation? Now, it's easy to look at Stephen A. Smith because, again, he's perceived by a lot in the black community as a sellout, fraud, and a lot of other things. But look, my thing is when he had finally something to say about Jason Whitlock, when he referred to him as fat bastard, we know it was Jason Whitlock. And this is why, champ, and I will say this because you've often said on my pod, as well as your pod, your biggest fear is to be compared to Jason Whitlock. Brother, I'm here to tell you that is something you will never, ever worry about. And BRF can confirm that as well. Because
1,000%.
Like I
you are
said, the
fair.
day I was compared, this mic will be retired.
No, no,
forever.
no,
I will
no,
not make another
no,
pod.
no. You work too damn hard. You gonna grind. You gonna keep on doing this. And if you quit, I'm gonna find a way to get Ace, Mama Champ, and Papa Champ to convince you not to stop. Because I would hate for them to see you throw away everything you worked hard for. But trust me, Stephen A. Smith finally had to say something about it. As far as look, it's obviously jealousy and envy because they wish they would have the career that Stephen A. Smith had. Stephen A. Smith not only is commenting on sports, he's commenting on politics. Although I wish he would do some research, he's doing a lot of things. He wants to be like Jimmy Kimmel, have his own reality show. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Stephen A. Smith, he wants to do a lot of things, whether have his own late night show, whether run for president, a lot of things. Stephen A. Smith does have personality. He has a big mouth. He dresses the part. He looks the part. He has a lot of connections. He does sell. So of course you're gonna say something about it with jealousy, but when you criticize him and when he finally takes the time to respond, expect it. And if you want to respond back to what he said, that's fine. Champ and I, we don't have a problem with it, but expect what you do.
My thing is this: there's another guy on ESPN that is venturing into politics, just like Stephen A. There's a guy by the name of Paul Feinbaum, the voice of the SEC at this point. Do you hear any of his white constituents talking about him? Do you hear any of them?
I don't pay attention to what Paul Feinbaum says.
Well, I'm an SEC guy, so he's the voice of the voice of the SEC. So when he said he was going to go into politics or what have you, you heard none of his white constituents say anything negative about that. We're the only ones that every time one of our guys say he's going to the politics, we say one thing. He say one thing we don't disagree with. All of a sudden, he's a sellout. And again, Stephen A., the reason like I said, I'm not a big fan of his. I will honestly say that I'm not a big fan of his. But the thing is, they say, well, you don't have this smoke for your white constituents. Well, okay, because they're not talking about me. They're not talking about each other in the media. They're not talking about each other in the media outside of sports. The only time that I ever heard somebody say something derogatory about somebody as far as a white constituent saying something about another one is when Todd Lachey, he came on the air and just ethered somebody. I forget who the guy was that he just flat out ethered, but he came out and just ethered somebody just recently. But other than that, you don't hear that on the other side of it.
Champ, I gotta tell you, Champ, it was Paul Feinbaum that he ethered.
Yes. And so he ethered that, but to my point, that's the only time that that's the only time that you see the white constituents, them going at each other when it's related to sports or take that they have as far as sports is concerned. You don't see that among them. Oh, the minute I
always us.
Yeah,
and we see it far too often.
The minute I disagree with something that you say, whether it's sports and especially politics, oh, you're so all of a sudden. No, I just said something that you disagree with.
Right.
Again, it doesn't make me a sellout, especially with all of the shit that I'm doing with these HBCUs, putting them on the map every single week. Stephen A. is responsible for the HBCUs being on ESPN. for them
After
going
all,
to
he
do
went to a HBCU and Winston-Salem State University. And on top of
exactly.
that, what he and Cam Newton have done as far as with the HBCUs.
Yes. So
So
it's a lot of
Stephen A.
positive things that he's doing. You know, the African American journalist, I mean, trying to get more African Americans on ESPN. So he's done a lot of positive things. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Stephen A. Smith fan. You know,
But
I'm
two
not.
things could be true.
But two things can be true. Like I said,
Exactly.
you can't sit around here and say, well, you don't have smoke for this person. It's just like me and BRF arguing, and I tell him, well, you ain't got smoke with that for PSP. Well, PSP ain't saying shit about me, you idiot. You is. You know, I'm just saying.
That's because PSP doesn't get involved with.
I'm just using that as an
I
example.
know you're
like
using me as an
you're
example, but
I'm
PSP.
like, yeah, you know, you ain't got that smoke for him because he's not saying anything about me, you idiot. You are. And you know, you keep talking, you know, and that's the thing. Everybody wants to have you ain't got that smoke for them because they're not talking about me. You are. I don't blame nobody for clapping back and defending their name. If somebody say something about PSP, I don't blame them for either saying something about them or tracking them down and punching them in the mouth. So that's the thing. When somebody is attacking you and you are easy target, like I said, he's an easy target because he's the poster boy of ESPN. But the thing is, you have never ever seen any of the white constituent journalists sit in the media and just go at each other and just be beefing in the media. They don't do that shit. We need to stop doing that shit. It's a bad look. Of course, you may not.
Bad look would be an understatement. It's horrible.
Exactly. And so you beefing with somebody in the media, especially the face of ESPN, guess what? That's a bad look. And the thing is, you can't look, and I hate to quote Emmanuel Acho, but you can't be the big bad wolf and then want to holler victim. You don't have this smoke. Well, they're not talking about me. You are. If you stop talking about me, maybe I'll stop having smoke. But you're not going to go.
Although I had no problem with what Emmanuel Acho had to say about Stephen A. Smith regarding the Chris Greer situation. That was No, it was fair. No, he was fair. I mean, he was factual. But to your point, Champ, we got to stop doing that. But as you always told me, Champ, no matter how far you can go, you've said this yourself, big fella, 1,000 attaboys is always erased by all one shit.
Yes. But the thing is, like I said, it's always going to be erased. But the thing is, you cannot discount that. And guess what? My white constituents are not saying anything about me. Clay Travis is not attacking me in the media. Sean, whatever the hell his name is, he's not attacking me in the media. Tammy Lauren is not attacking me in the media. You cats are, and you're wondering why I'm getting pissed off and going on the air defending myself about it. You can't get me. Look, if you're gonna sit around here and trip me up in class, you can't get mad at me when I hit you over the head with the lunch tray. That's just the bottom line. And if you're gonna keep talking about me, you're gonna keep saying certain things about me, then guess what? I'm going to clap back. And the thing is, it's quite ironic when he said something about Jason Whitlock and everybody was sitting back and amening and everything like that. But the minute somebody else who is more likable than Jason said something, all of a sudden, you got a lot of smoke. No, I have smoke for blank blanks who got smoke for me. If you are not breathing my airspace, you ain't on my radar. But if you got smoke for me and you want to feel and you want to bring down the thunder in the great words of Wyatt Earp, from Tombstone in the OK Corral, if you want to bring down the thunder, you're going to get it. I don't care who you are. In the great words of Noriega, it don't matter if you're skinny or fatter. You're going to get it. Do not sit around here try to breathe my airspace and then want to talk about, well, you don't have smoke for this guy. No, because they ain't messing with me. You is. You're messing with me. So when I clap back or say what I have to say and roast you in the media, much like you try to do with me, then guess what? Take that on the chin and then move forward. but my white constituents are not saying anything about me. You are. So when you say something about me, be prepared for the consequences that I'm going to take out upon you. You are not allowed to attack me, and did I not say anything? I understand that we live in a society that is dominated by TikToks, by you saying that, hey, you're not supposed to say anything when anybody attack you, especially when the opposite gender attacks you in the media. You're not supposed to say anything. That's deemed sassy. But guess what? I'm worth over damn near $100 million. You really think I'm finna let you attack me in the media and I have the platform to fight back? Hell no. That ain't the way it works. Don't pass no lick. You won't get licked. Mm-hmm. And in the great words of the Young Bloods and Lil Jon, don't start no, won't be no. That's the game.
Look, when you do something like that, what do you expect? I mean, look, it's kind of like with rap. If you diss out somebody, you know that person is gonna respond back. So I don't have a problem with what Stephen A. Smith had to say. To your point, Champ, I'm not a big Stephen A. Smith fan, or not anymore. But I do think there comes a point when you have to say something. If you continuously remain silent, then you're part of the problem because you're just allowing people to say all these things about you. I am glad that Stephen A. Smith finally had to say something about it. But, you know, like I said, it's like with Jason Whitlock. When Jason Whitlock, when he criticized them, and finally when Stephen A. Smith finally had enough, I was glad he had to say it. And I think he probably didn't want to react or say it at first. It's because obviously I'm better than who he is. Why am I even wasting my time trying to respond to someone like him? But it comes a point where enough's enough. I tried to take the high road and you continuously disrespect me just all in an effort for whatever you're trying to do. Get your views, get your ratings or whatever, how you earn a living. At some point in time, fuck all that. I have to say something. Cari Champion, I mean, I like Cari Champion, but I don't understand why you had to try to. No, I won't go there. All I'm saying is this with Cari Champion: just be careful what you ask for. You asked Stephen A. to keep the same energy, and you got the response from Stephen A. Smith. I do understand from BRF's point, hey, Cari Champion is one of the best moderators doing her time on First Take and on ESPN. So when she departed, could Stephen A. Smith, it definitely would have helped on Stephen A. Smith's part to keep Cari Champion on First Take and for her to still remain on ESPN. Look, when you do something like that, eventually you're poking the bear, and the bear is going to respond. So that's all I got to say regarding that. But great takes, guys. Now let's get into some football. BRF, I'm going to let you go first. Mm-hmm. Your Falcons. Overtime loss against the Indianapolis Colts. You predicted last week that you had the Falcons beating the Colts because you saw the blueprint of what the Steelers did to the Colts. Look, we know Zach Robinson, the offensive coordinator, can't offensive game plan for shit. It seems like he's out the door, as well as Raheem Morris. Your defense did its part by getting 7 sacks, but at the same time, y'all can't stop the run. And that was my major concern heading into that game because, yes, you can get sacks. Yes, you can put pressure. Yes, you can get fumbles, picks here and there. But y'all can't stop the run, BRF. It's kind of like the rain. Y'all can't stop the rain. Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns in that game, making another case for the league MVP. Talk to me, Mr. Atlanta.
And even when all that, Atlanta had a 3rd and 21, and they let Daniel Jones get 19 yards on a run.
He's very athletic. For those who may have forgotten, Daniel Jones can move. Only knock on
Exactly.
Daniel Jones was turnovers.
Exactly. And I mean, like I said, I was bullish on the Falcons defense coming into 2025. And they've made and honestly, even with the fact that they're bottom 10 in the league in rushing defense, they've made me look good because the strides they've taken on defense has just been astonishing. They had 31 sacks all of 2024. They have 29 sacks in 9 games. I mean, Jalen Walker's making himself a prime defensive rookie of the year candidate. People are still questioning, the second first round pick for James Pierce. James Pierce is one of the big reasons why this pass rush is better. Where I want to focus on is the offense because I don't want to give Michael Penix Jr. a pass from last game because he wasn't good. Now, granted, the receivers dropped passes, but I mean, it's his footwork. He needs to get better with his footwork, which throws off his accuracy, and it's just a lot of building things that you see that he still needs to work on. But I'm gonna say it again, y'all. The fans that are saying we need to get rid of him, he's not the guy. Come on, man. Y'all let Desmond Ridder have a longer leash than Michael Penix. He's only played 12 games. Y'all need to relax. With that being said, I think it just comes from, like I said, it's a trickle down effect. And I mean, you see the coaching on a weekly basis. Raheem Morris, another poor showing with clock management. You get a sack with like 50 seconds to go in the first half. Take the time out. Give your offense a chance to drive and put more points on the board. I will say this though with Raheem Morris, he has done a better job as of late with second half adjustments. I will give him that much because the Atlanta Falcons defense is a much better unit in the second half of games as of late. So he's done a really good job with second half adjustments on defense. But even still, that offense is predictable. I mean, it's almost like no matter what people are trying to say or what we're trying to clue into Zach Robinson, he's not changing. He's not changing anything. He's not. It's like the success that they were having early, giving Bijan Robinson the ball. They're not doing that nowhere near as much. Bijan Robinson went from being a favorite for Offensive Player of the Year to practically being almost an afterthought, even though he's still one of the elite backs in the league because they're not feeding him the ball. Like I said, it's just really bad offensive game planning. It's really bad clock management. But like I said, we can't give Michael Penix a pass from last game. You know what I'm saying? 12 for 28, didn't throw for over 200 yards. Granted, he had the one turnover on the fumble. He has done a good job. He has done a good job this year managing turnovers, but at the same time, even though you're managing turnovers, you still got to be able to put points on the board. I'll give you this stat line, and I think somebody had posted this. Seattle Seahawks are 16th in the league in yards per game. They're 7th in the league in scoring. That's called efficiency, ladies and gentlemen. They're putting points on the board regardless of their yardage. They are an efficient offense. The Atlanta Falcons, on the other hand, are top 5 in the league in yards. They're 28th in points.
Damn.
Yards don't mean a thing if you're not getting the ball in the end zone. I'd rather be outside of the top 10 in yards if I know I'm putting up points. I'd rather be 20th in yards if I know I'm a top 10 scoring offense. If I know I'm being efficient, if I know I don't necessarily have to drive the ball 90 yards to score a touchdown, I can get that bad boy in from the 50 in 2 plays. It's efficiency. And that's one thing the Atlanta Falcons have really lacked for the better part of this year is being an efficient offense. They can get yards out the wazoo, but they're not putting the ball in the end zone. They've been bad on third downs. They've been bad in the red zone. How are you bad in the red zone when you have all the aliens you have on offense, whether it be Drake London, whether it be Kyle Pitts, whether it be Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier for that matter? Tyler Algier had 2 touchdowns against the Colts, had a hell of a game. You have too much talent to be 3-6. and staring another missed playoff appearance like right in the face. To the point now, there's a rumor going around saying that if Green Bay misses the playoffs, they're going to fire Matt LaFleur, and the Atlanta Falcons are eyeing it because that would be a hell of a move if the Falcons could swing that. But I don't even want
with that type of offensive mind to pair him up with that type of talent.
Bro, let me tell you, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. But honestly, I don't even want to think. It's too early to think about that right now. You still have 8 games left You still have 8 games left in the regular season. Bless you, by the way, sir.
My bad.
It's okay.
I don't know if he was sneezing because he had allergies or something, or sneezing because of the fact he heard Matt LaFleur thinking about ATL.
Hey, Matt LaFleur still has connections in Atlanta. He still has a connection in Atlanta. He was the quarterback coach for that 2016 roster that went to the Super Bowl. He was the quarterback's coach. So he definitely has connections with Atlanta, and he still got a connection here, and he's still familiar, you know what I'm saying? He's obviously familiar with the franchise, and he still has you know what I'm saying, he still has friends down here. So I mean, it would be a hell of a move if they were to fire Raheem Morris, and let's say Green Bay missed the playoffs and they let go of Matt LaFleur. If they did that, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, Matt LaFleur is the only coach I'm reaching out to. Point blank period. He's the only one I'm reaching out to. But with that being said, they have to clean up the efficiency on that offense. We've been saying it time and time again. We're gonna drive this home probably for the rest of the season. Just put the ball in your playmakers. It doesn't matter what kind of defense they're playing against you. Give Bijan Robinson the ball. It doesn't matter what playmaker. It doesn't matter what defense they're calling against you. Find a way to get Kyle Pitts the ball, because Kyle Pitts warrants a contract extension the way he's played this year. Does the stats show that? No, but the eye test. He's running his routes. He's a complete mismatch for anyone who tries to cover him. No one can cover him. It's like he's back to his 20. He's back on his 2021-ish. He's back on his 2021 stuff. It's just that the stats aren't there. They got to clean up the offense. Defense, continue to do what you're doing. You got to clean up that. You got to clean up that run game. You got to find a way to not let all of these teams just run the ball up the gut on you, because it's just as simple as a hat on the hat. They're beating you. 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. Granted, it is Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is about like this close to locking up Offensive Player of the Year. He's about that close. He has another couple of games in him like that. Offensive Player of the Year it's written in history. It's over with. They just need to clean up the little thing. But that starts with Raheem Morris, and that starts with Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson. And I feel like they're almost at a point now where it's like it's almost too late, and they are who they are at this point. So they're just gonna have to find a way. They got to do some soul searching. They got to look at themselves, and his job's on the line, because I've seen the report. I don't know if I've seen reports. I've seen stuff. His job is practically on the line at this point. And it should be. If he don't, and I've said it, they don't get to the playoffs, I think he's gone. And you're seeing the reports. So it's time for the urgency to go from 0 to 100 and understand what needs to be done, because the Atlanta Falcons, when it comes to hype, are the most disappointing team in the league. Again.
BRF, can I ask you this question? Fair or unfair?
Okay.
Is Atlanta the most overrated team? Because with all that talent, you should be able to lead the division.
They're up there. In terms of hype, they're up there. Because, Bijan Robinson's a top 3 back in the league. Drake London is playing himself. Drake London, I feel right now, is a top 10 lock as a wide receiver. And the way he's been playing the last 5 games, he's putting himself in top 5 conversations. Tyler Algier is arguably the best number 2 back in football. And Michael Penix Jr. has all the talent in the world, even with his inconsistencies. He's one of the most talented guys in the league. He has some of the best arm talent. He has one of the strongest arms in the National Football League. So with all this talent, they should be with this talent, it should be 6-3 and not 3-6 with this talent. The problem is, if it's not one thing, it's something else. And this team always finds a way to shoot themselves in the foot, and it's come back and it's bit them to the point now where I wouldn't be shocked if this whole coaching staff job is on the line, and that includes Jeff Ulbrich, who I feel has not done anything to warrant being fired. But you know how organizations are, you know how front offices
They're
are.
gonna clean up house. That's the thing.
They're going to clean that. Yes, if they're going to clean up house, they getting everybody out. Even if it's not your fault, even if your unit's done this thing, they're gonna treat you as if nope, you came in because of him. So we gotta let you go too. So if they miss the playoffs, we'll see in the offseason what they do. But I do know one thing for certain. If they miss the playoffs, Raheem Morris, he better not show his face in Atlanta. Period. Him and Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson, just go to Oklahoma State for all that matter. If they miss the playoffs, I mean, just disappointment on all year round. That's why I wasn't so quick to really say that they were going to win a division this year, because I've seen this the last couple of years, and even if I felt like it was going to be different, it was like I want to see it play out, and I'm kind of not surprised in a way.
Well, BRF is not panning out. I'm looking at the stats here according to Pro Football Reference. Do you know Atlanta has the 28th ranked offense in the NFL?
In scoring.
Tennessee Titans, the Raiders, the Browns, and the Saints have a worse team offense than the Atlanta Falcons. In passing offense, y'all are ranked, let me look at it right here, 20th in the NFL. Rushing offense in the NFL, y'all 16th. Y'all 16th in the NFL as far as rushing offense in the NFL. And then rushing yards per game with Algier and Bijan Robinson. Y'all, as far as rushing yards, look it up right here. Damn, I ain't got glasses though. I wish I should get them big champ glasses.
They're like 15th or 16th or something like that.
15th, 119.3 yards per game. That is
how with that duo. We are 15th in the league in rushing.
Why you sound like that dude off Samurai Jack, bro? How?
Just how? Like I said, Bijan Robinson is a top 3 running back in the league. Tyler Algier is arguably the best RB2. You're 15th in the league in rushing yards per game.
Not only
you
that,
should be no worse than 10.
Not only that, you're ranked 16th in scoring offense and in points per game. In terms of offense, y'all are not even in the top 10. If anything, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
I think we've only scored like 143 points all year.
Y'all know in points per game, y'all 27th in the NFL.
Yeah. I think we've only scored 143 points as a team this year.
That's an average of 18.7 points per game. Y'all average.
Yeah.
So, Atlanta, I don't know what the hell going on. Look, we know defensively, their only issue that they have as far as stopping the run. But with this offense to be this loaded offensively and to still struggle, damn, you fumbling the bag. It's kind of like you having a beautiful woman and you fumbling the bag that quick. I mean, in Atlanta, I don't know. I mean, it's really disappointing because with Michael Penix Jr., BRF, no one has been a bigger supporter or defender of Michael Penix Jr. than you. Champ at the time, not that he didn't mind Michael Penix Jr., but he already dealt with Kirk. He knew he was going to get Kirk Cousins, and the only concern he had with Michael Penix Jr. was the durability problems. For the most part, he's been able to stay healthy, but 3-6. And when you look at Atlanta, at the remaining of their schedule, looking it up right now, as far as with their schedule,
it's not hard. It's honestly not that hard.
No, it's not that hard, and I'm about to get into there in just a second. Today is the 14th. Okay, November 16th, you got your rematch against Carolina, to which they embarrassed y'all early in the season, 30-0. Now, the following week, you got the Aints. You should be able to beat the Aints.
I'm tired of hearing should be able when it comes to us. They got to do it.
November 30th, you got the Jets at the Jets. Jets have been playing a little bit better, but you should beat the Jets. Now, December the 7th, I'm sorry. It's even though it's in Atlanta, y'all got Seattle. That's going to be hard. Then December 11th, a short week, you got Tampa.
The Thursday night game in Tampa.
Then December the 21st, on the road at Arizona. Assuming if Kyler Murray doesn't play, and assuming if the offense from Arizona starts clicking with Jacoby Brissett. Then December 29th, that's a tough one because it's against the Los Angeles Rams. And then you finish off the season against New Orleans. Here's my thing for Atlanta. These are some winnable games. You still have a chance to win the division. But I think it's
crazy as it sounds.
But I think it's best after this season, you have to pull the plug on Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson. Because if you still keep them, that should tell you all you need to know, given all these problems with this team. And if you keep them, how's your future going to be?
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm kind of hoping they miss the playoffs so they can get rid of them. Because if we make the playoffs, they're going to give them an excuse to keep them. I'm kind of hoping they miss it so they can get rid of them.
Right. So if they make the playoffs, if they do the unthinkable and make the playoffs, that means you're going to have to stick with them next year. And that's going to frustrate you because you're going to see the same problems next year, just like you're seeing this season.
Exactly.
Big fella, I know you love Atlanta. Is it time for you to give up on your team just for this season, or you still have hope?
In the great words of My Chemical Romance, what's the worst that I can say? Things are better if I say so long and good night, so long and good night, because that's what the season is right about now. Yes, I used to listen to My Chemical Romance, so shout out to them, by the way. Went to one of their concerts as a youngin'. But yeah, it's so long and good night for that staff. Hey, look, if I'm the defensive players, I do exactly what the Chicago Bears back in the day. I do emphasize back in the day. I do just what they did for Buddy Ryan. I go to the owner and say, hey, this defense is good the way it is. Can we keep the defensive coordinator?
Yes.
Because, Jeff Warbrick, outside of his dumbass kid doing what he did with Shedeur Sanders, he's been blockbuster. This team has been on the defensive side of the ball. It has been, like I said, outside of stopping the run, it's been a breakout year for.
They've been wire to wire, the best pass defense in football, bar none.
Exactly, but you gotta. There's a lot of things to be desired with this team. If we had no talent, I can understand us being 3-6. We had no talent, and we had Doug. You remember Doug? Remember Doug Johnson when he was at quarterback?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
When Doug Johnson got hurt.
God, don't do that.
No, that was the 2002. I think it was the 2003 season. But,
shit. Oh, God.
But I remember when Doug Johnson was the quarterback, and we had him at the quarterback position, and that was just it. Then this the best running back combo since Duckett and Dunn, and even better if you really want me to be honest with you. This offense is predictable. It's lackadaisical. You have the coaching staff and the coaching. They play. Look, you can tell. I can tell that they play the level of the team that they're playing against, because they'll go out there and play Indianapolis like they're playing in the Super Bowl, and then the very next week they go out there and play. They'll play New Orleans like they don't even have a game plan.
They'll beat the Buffalo. They will dominate the Buffalo Bills
and Minnesota,
and a team like Minnesota, and get 30-0 by the Carolina Panthers.
And that's what
Let's
you
not
call
forget it, Miami.
Yeah,
and they'll get 34-10 by Miami.
That's what you call playing down to the competition, man. That is what you call playing down to the competition, and that is lack of coaching.
That is exactly.
That is lack of coaching. you have some dogs out there on that offensive side of the ball. Like I stated, this is the best running back combination since Duckett and Dunn. They're maybe even better than those two guys. I think Tyler Allgeier, I think he's better than TJ Duckett. What about you?
Bruh. It's not even a discussion. It's not even a discussion. Not even a discussion. Tyler Allgeier is better than TJ Duckett.
So I'm gonna just be real, but it's sad, man. You know, I still don't understand why they got rid of Ray McCloud. I don't understand what's going on with that situation, about why he got released from the team or why he was sent home. You know, they fired the wide receiver coach, you know, when they should have been firing the offensive coordinator. It's a lot of things going on this year that I really did not expect. And I'm with BRF, man. I want to make the playoff, but is this going to leave this damn staff here?
Making the playoffs, we're going to leave this staff. I don't want it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that whole situation where Mike Smith was on his last leg out there in Atlanta. It's just like you don't want him. You don't want to miss the playoffs. At the same time, you know, missing the playoffs is going to get you what you need. And in turn, we got Dan Quinn. He was able to get us to the Super Bowl with a good staff. But Atlanta's been slipping all year, man. For Bijan to not be in the MVP conversation when he had that very fast start, when you could see he was having a Marshall Faulk type of year at the beginning of the year, for him not to be in the MVP conversation is sad. Drake London is a top 5 receiver in the league. Kyle Pitts is a very, very serviceable tight end. You have a good offensive line.
Top 10, big fella. I got him top 10.
I'm being a homer when I say top 5, but yeah, I digress. But
okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I'm being a homer, but I mean, look what I got in the background, man. It got that ATL in the background. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how much of a homer.
Good thing about it, look, the holiday season is approaching, so hopefully they may have some deals at Magic City. So who knows? Maybe you'll probably forget about Atlanta for this season. But if y'all miss the playoffs, that will be a good thing for y'all to clean up house. And who knows, maybe Matt LaFleur as a head coach or somebody else that we may not know. But Atlanta needs to move on.
You have to clean up house at a certain point. How many times?
Exactly.
Big fella, I would know. I'm in Washington. We have to clean up so much shit. Like if there's too much shit, if there's too much shit that's there, you got no other choice but to clean up.
Exactly. We've had to clean up. We've had to clean up with Mike Smith. We've had to clean up with Dan Quinn. We've had to clean up with Arthur Smith. We're probably gonna have to clean up with Raheem Morris. I mean, at some point it's like Arthur Blank, what are you doing? What are you doing?
No, it's not Arthur Blank. It's Rich McKay's dumbass.
You know what? You're right. It is Rich McKay. He need to go too.
He need to go kick rocks in a hurry. He
need to go.
He wasn't that good. I don't understand why he put him in charge any damn way. He wasn't that good as a general manager.
No, he wasn't.
And so, I mean, I don't understand how you go from being the general manager to the CEO of the damn team. I mean, I understand that he built the Tampa Bay Bucks, but that was the Bucks. That was back when Florida and Florida State were actually good schools, and you could draft out of those schools. But now that ain't the case. So I don't understand why Rich McKay is still at the helm hiring these. I don't know. Like I said, how many times are you gonna be able to clean house before you look at your team and say, "Hey, maybe it's time to go for broke"?
And my thing is this too: is like you were in Tampa Bay with Florida State when they were like the cream of the crop of college. You're in Atlanta with the Georgia Bulldogs, and you haven't. Why haven't you been taking the same approach?
Again,
why haven't you been taking the same approach?
And I remember me and you brought that up on our pod, that the fact that since Georgia has been a top commodity in drafting, over 140 Georgia players have played and won in Super Bowls. So, you know, you've been letting talent get away. Now, granted, you swung for the fences, and I'll give you credit for that when it came to the Julio Jones trade, when it came to Roddy White, when it came to a lot of those guys, Austin Hooper, but you got to get the right coach in here. You have to get the right coach and stop trying to recycle.
You
Stop
better
trying to
get Brian
recycle these
Flores.
old
You better
guys.
get you better get Brian Flores. You better get a no nonsense head coach because y'all talk about the
Yeah.
New York market. Even though the New York market is huge, Atlanta ain't shabby. You can be very
No,
distracted in a city like Atlanta, but you
but
have the
if you
right.
but if you win in a city like Atlanta,
Oh, yo,
the
You the
vibe is just
you
the
the king
vibe.
forever.
You see it. You see it.
oh, free
The
Magic City,
vibe is just different when you
free
win down
Magic
here.
City and Waffle House. That's for sure. But my thing is, look, man, it would be great for Atlanta to win a championship, but it's unfortunately it's going to take y'all more time. But y'all have the right type of ingredients as far as with the players. You just need to get that with the coaching staff, and then hopefully
Exactly.
it'll manifest.
No more first time. No more coordinators. First time coaches. None of that. It's time. It's next
But
coach. It's time to it's time to take a swing. It's time to take a swing.
and
You
the
know the
reason why
last
I disagree with Mike Patton, our guy who's in one of the group chats, he recommended they should get an offensive minded head coach. But I can't hire an offensive minded guy just because of his relationship with the QBs or the wide receivers. What about collectively the team?
But
Don't you
I
think?
but I'm with him. I think our next head coach should. I think our next head coach should be an offensive minded coach. I'm actually with him on that.
But if that doesn't work out, then what? Then what are you gonna do?
I
Because
mean,
this
at
is
this point,
Atlanta.
you got to do something. You got to do something. That's what you got. You just have to take a swing with something. You got to do something.
the
I mean,
last proven head coach that we had that Atlanta hired, God rest his soul, was Dan Reeves.
Reeves.
That was the last proven head coach that we had. And I'm
exactly.
fully convinced that if Dan Reeves, although he left Vic in there for the preseason, if he would have been allowed to coach Mike Vick past that season, he would have had a lot better tenure in Atlanta because Dan Reeves held Mike Vick accountable. And Mike Vick will tell you that.
He listened to him.
And he listened to him every single
Big
day.
fella, let me ask you this question. If Dan Reeves, God rest his soul, were alive today, what do you think he would have done with this Atlanta team?
It would have still disciplined with him, number one. And number two, Dan Reeves was a defensive coach. He was a defensive coach.
No,
thing is,
I know he would have held them accountable, but I'm talking about in terms of the wins, in terms of the production. Don't you think with a guy like that, you would definitely hear conversations with Atlanta as far as deep playoff runs, hopefully an
yes,
NFC championship?
we had some deep playoff runs with Dan Reeves. The thing is what plagued Dan Reeves when he was in Atlanta was injuries. The damn quarterback was injured every other year, and then Jamal Anderson, unfortunately, for his mass and size, his body started to break down. So his main focus did, not to mention we lost Chuck Smith and a lot of those great players on the defensive side of the ball to free agency. It didn't help that Eugene Robinson was out here going to the church house to get a little workout every now and then. And it was just getting ugly. That was the only reason why we did not do better that next season. It was because of injuries. You saw the Super Bowl year. You saw what Dan Reeves was capable of. And then the very next year, the injuries happened. And then you saw what he was capable of with Michael Vick. And then the very next year, the injuries happened. It was just injuries that happened during Dan Reeves' tenure that stopped him from going and reaching the team's full potential. Because guess what? When your quarterback and your running back gets hurt and they are the main components of the offense, guess what? You're not going to work out. Like I stated, the first year when he went to the Super Bowl, everybody was healthy. The very next year, remember, Jamal Anderson got hurt. Remember, he got hurt so bad they didn't even want to give him another contract. So, yeah, I mean, it was just because of the injuries that Dan Reeves did last year. Dan Reeves is a hell of a coach. Not only did he take John Elway to 4 Super Bowls with not one offensive Pro Bowler, but he also took remember after the Bill Parcells era, remember after that era, how suckful that the New York Giants was? They were suckful. He won Coach of the Year there. So Dan Reeves was one hell of a coach. We haven't had a proven head coach since Dan Reeves. We need to get a no-nonsense guy in there. And ironically, most of the coaches that we have hired have gotten us to Super Bowls, that have gotten us to championship games have been defensive head coaches. Dan Reed, Dan Quinn, Mike Smith. Mike Smith was a hell of a coach when he was there. Like I stated, it's just the offense got too predictable and a lot of guys couldn't stay healthy. The defense was kind of falling apart at the seam. Mike Smith was not a bad coach. He was the first coach to have back-to-back winning seasons in Atlanta. Remember Lehman Bennett? Although he had Steve Bartkowski,
I remember.
No, nobody did except for Mike Smith. He was the first coach to do that.
Back in 2010 and 2011, but and also in 2012.
Yes,
but
got the number one seed with him.
Yes, 2012. They lost in the lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. They were close to winning that one.
They were number one seed in 2010 too, and they lost in divisional to the Green Bay Packers. They were 13-3.
But the thing is, champ, here's my concern. If they get an offensive guy, it can't just be because of the QB and everything else. You got to be able to lead that team, because we've seen offensive guys QB known for QB reputations. Cliff Kingsbury, that didn't work out. Mike McDaniel, that didn't work out. Brian Callahan, that didn't work out. Okay, so I mean, Zach Taylor. To me, the only reason why Zach Taylor is still able to continue in Cincinnati, well, after all, look at what he's had to work with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon and everything else. But can you name anything, one positive thing about Zach Taylor as a head coach overall? So if you're going to get me a head coach who knows offense, fine, but also you got to be able to lead. And you got to be able to do enough to care about the defensive side of the football. That's the thing. But unfortunately for Atlanta, it's going to take some time, man. Sadly. But fellas, let's get into some NFL picks on the Sports PSP pod. Let's make it real short and quick because we got last couple of subjects. Shitters. Commanders at Dolphins. And it will be in Madrid, Spain. Miami's a 2.5-point favorite. I go with the Dolphins. I think it'll be a close game, but I have Dolphins 27, Commanders 17.
Commanders.
Oh Lord, I don't know. I think at this stage, Lord, I think you have. I gotta go. I'll go Miami just because I trust Tua slightly more than Marcus Mariota,
which is not really much to brag about.
That's not a high bar.
It's not, but Mike McDaniel lately, they've been able to win some games. They came off a shocking victory against Buffalo.
They playing for him.
They are. But the thing is, Tua turned the ball over. Next one, Packers at Giants. Green Bay's 6.5-point favorite.
Packers.
Board unanimous?
Go, Pack, go. Shout out to Flash, by the way.
Texans at Titans. And CJ Stroud is expected to miss his second consecutive game due to the concussion.
Don't be surprised if they sack Cam Ward like 10 times, because that defense, although that offense is garbage, that defense is stifling. They the AFC South version of the Atlanta Falcons at this point.
Hey, with them pass rushers and Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter and a defensive mind like a D'Amico Ryans, and they have a really good corner in Derek Stingley. And you see how anemic Tennessee's offense is. So it should really be 17-7. And this is the same Houston Texans that came back from a 19-point deficit against the Jacksonville Jaguars with Davis Mills at QB.
Which is why even with Davis Mills at quarterback, I actually trust Houston to put up a decent number of points in this game. I got Houston winning this pretty easy.
Basically.
Bengals at Steelers. Although it wouldn't surprise me that the Bengals would win, though, because what kind of offense are we going to get from the Steelers? Even though the Steelers lost to the Bengals on Thursday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers, he'll give one good performance, but then he'll give one crappy performance. And how is the Steelers defense going to be better prepared against the Bengals offense? So I'll go with Steelers.
The Bungles.
I think I'm gonna go Steelers here, but I think it's gonna be another shootout.
Chargers at Jaguars.
Chargers.
Chargers are 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Chargers.
Chargers.
I'm going with Jacksonville with the upset. Trevor Lawrence has had Justin Herbert's number. That's not to say that Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert. I'm not implying that. I wouldn't be surprised if he beats him. And on top of that, it depends how the Chargers offense, how are they going to protect Herbert? What's going to happen? How is Trevor Lawrence going to play? Unfortunately for him, Travis Hunter is out for the season, IR. So that's scary. But hey, I got Jacksonville for the upset.
Brian Thomas Jr. got to show up this week. He's been horrible this season.
Yes, indeed.
Especially with them drops. Buccaneers at Bills. Bills are a 5.5-point favorite. I think Buffalo will bounce back. This is a game that they should be expected to win. Just let James Cook run the football. Baker has played overall well this season, but again, he's relying on newer targets. I don't know if Bucky Irving or Chris Godwin going to play, so I'll lean towards Buffalo.
I'm gonna, I think this is one of those games with two good teams. You pick the home team, so I'm gonna go Buffalo.
Champ?
The board is unanimous, Your Honor.
It's weird that you say it that way, but okay. Bears at Vikings. Minnesota's a 2.5-point favorite. I'm not convinced with Chicago because even though 6-3, and yes, Caleb Williams has been able to find game-winning drives. You did came back from a 10-point deficit against New York. New York should have won that one. Washington, they beat Washington Monday Night Football, but that was because of Washington's turnovers. Because Jaden Daniels is not known for turnovers. Jaden Daniels is not known for a turnover machine. Unfortunately, it was in that game. I have the Bears winning this one, however, because what am I going to see from J.J. McCarthy? Justin Jefferson did look a little frustrated in that game. But I do think Brian Flores is going to put a lot of pressure on Caleb, just like he did last time. But I still wouldn't be surprised if Chicago, in a game clutch situation, they get the job done. So I go Chicago 19, Minnesota 16.
I'm picking the Bears. Shout out. No one's really talked about this that much, but shout out CJ Gardner-Johnson. He's come in on this Bears defense, and he's made a difference for that Bears defense. Shout out CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm gonna go Bears too. I like what I've seen from Caleb Williams, particularly in the fourth quarter games and close situations. I like what I see from him. I'm gonna go Bears.
Board unanimous, champ?
The board's unanimous. Bear down on him.
Panthers at Falcons.
I'm picking. Y'all better win. Y'all better win this one. I'm sick.
If they lose, you gonna be drinking?
I ain't gonna be drinking, but I'm tired of hearing Carolina Panther. I said it before. I'm tired of hearing Carolina Panther fans wearing their mouth. They get 2 back-to-back wins, And now all of a sudden it's just, oh my God, it's all this and that and this and that. When it's still like 13-8 Falcons in the last 21 meetings. Y'all better win this game. I'm picking the Falcons to win this game because it's the defense, and I think Michael Penix, he owes him one. That week 18 where he threw for like over 300 yards and lit him up. I could see him doing that. I could honestly see him doing that to him again. They owe him one. I'm gonna pick the Falcons here.
Big fella.
In the great words of Teddy Pendergrass, trying to hold on, my faith is gone. It's just another sad song. I think I better let it go. Looks like another love TKO.
So it's Carolina.
Keep pounding, Carolina. I don't have no faith in you, Atlanta, man.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Atlanta. I would have loved to see you say Atlanta because if Carolina loses, I was wondering to see if you drinking another shot or two of tequila or Hennessy.
Yeah, I'm like 30 days into my sobriety. I'm trying to keep it up.
If Atlanta win the game Sunday and we doing Undisputed GOAT podcast Sunday, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look at you. I'm gonna give you the biggest face palm. I'm gonna be
rightfully so, man. But I just ain't got no faith, man. It's like, like I said, man. It's kind of like, and I hate to use this analogy, kind of like dealing with your sneaky link all the time, bro. She's sneaky link material, but she ain't girlfriend material. She gonna break your heart. So, man, I don't want my heart
Take
broken.
ass to church.
Man. So,
you gotta be home.
Church.
Hey, man, gotta be home. What the hell you talking about? They the worst ones. They the worst ones.
Gotta be home by sunrise.
Yeah, gotta be. Yeah. They the worst ones. They the biggest night fighters in the world. What we talking about here?
Yeah.
Well, if they're gonna give you shit, you should leave them the fuck alone.
Just being real.
Touche. Well said.
This is a really good game right here. Seahawks at Rams.
Oh, this is the best game on the slate, in my opinion.
I got Rams. Matthew Stafford making another case for an MVP.
He is my preseason pick, and I'm riding it till the wheels fall off. I got the Rams.
Champ?
Go Dogs. Go Dogs. I want to see that Georgia Bulldog win their MVP. Go Rams. Shout out to Hot Take Kitty, by the way.
49ers at Cardinals. Brock Purdy will likely start in that game. I hate it for Mac Jones because overall I think Mac Jones has done a good enough job. Although, great thing for him, someone's going to call him for next season. I hope it should be Pittsburgh.
Agreed. Mac Jones earned himself a contract for 2026. He earned him a nice 2-3 year payday as far as I'm concerned. Give me they're also getting Ricky Pearsall back for this game as well.
Yes.
Give me San Francisco here.
You mean Tommy Egan?
Yeah, right.
You mean Tommy Egan.
Ravens at Browns. Baltimore's a 7.5 point favorite. When are they going to throw in Shedeur in the game?
Don't do that. Do not put Shedeur. I don't want to see Shedeur play none this year. I don't want to see him.
Okay, fine. Then you're going to have to deal with Dylan Gabriel throughout the season.
I will take that. Look, just to see this coaching staff get fired and see them get the hell up out of here, because the thing is, they ruined Baker. Then they brought in that dude, and they brought in him. And let's just Alexander DeVoe, they brought in him. And yeah, so you did all of that bull jive and you ended up in the situation that you're in. So I want to see you go ahead, ride it out with Dylan Gabriel. I do not want to see Shedeur Sanders touch this field and end up getting sacked 10 times and looking bad. And that way everybody can say, see, we told you he couldn't play. No, let Dylan Gabriel sit his ass in there. And guess what? Let him keep throwing interceptions. Let him keep throwing them 10-yard little routes or whatever. And, let Kevin Stefanski ride it with his guy. So, and let's see what Shedeur Sanders can do next year when he got some offensive line and got some more receivers or something like that, because they got running backs and they got defense. They just need some offensive line, some receiving help. But yeah, I don't want to see Shedeur Sanders touch that field none this year. Guess what? You drafted Dylan Gabriel. You want to keep him in there? Keep him on in there. Ride it out. Go out with the ship.
Champ. Oh, I'm sorry, BRF.
Yeah. Well, I'm picking Baltimore because they're starting to look like the Baltimore Ravens again. I'm picking Baltimore.
Kansas City at Denver. And Kansas City, believe it or not, is a 3.5-point favorite.
The only thing that scares me about the Broncos is their offense at this point, because it's like one day they'll be on point and then the very next week it's just like it's crazy. But on that note, I will say this: Broncos country, let's ride.
Champ, are you saying that because, again, the double standard with Caleb Williams and Bo Nix? Because I can't stand it sometimes with our guys on the group chat, how when Caleb Williams doesn't play particularly well, but when he steps up and delivers in the fourth quarter, they give him the credit. But when it's Bo Nix, unimpressive.
Well, the thing is, his play style is not. I always say this, man. Style points matter, and his style points is not that good. Let's just be all the way honest with you. But style points matter.
Yeah, but Caleb Williams in the first 3 quarters hasn't played particularly well. Let's not forget the Giants game. He didn't play spectacular in that game, but we gave him the credit and where credit is due. Why can't we do it with Bo Nix? It's because of who we like.
Because I think what it is with Bo Nix, when we compare Bo Nix and Caleb Williams, we've seen glimpses of Caleb Williams be a dominant quarterback, and we don't see that as much with Bo Nix.
I know that, BRF. I know Caleb Williams is a more superior quarterback, but let's just give credit where credit is due.
I mean, look, Bo Nix wins. Honestly, I feel like ultimately at the end of the day, Bo Nix wins games, and that should be ultimately the deciding factor and stuff like that. He goes out, it's not pretty. He don't care. As long as it gets the job done, he wins games, and I feel like that's ultimately what he should be. I mean, what he should be ultimately measured on. I get stats play a factor, and they're always going to. Yeah, I definitely feel what you're saying on that. I definitely get where you're coming from. With that being said, though, Kansas City is a 3.5-point favorite because they're the Kansas City Chiefs and his reputation, and they've earned that reputation, and they've earned the right to be a 3.5-point favorite in a game like this with the Denver Broncos, where they're trying to prove something. Kansas City's been there, done that, got the T-shirt and the postcards. They know what it's like to go to hostile environments in big-time situations and win games. It's what they do. So until the Denver Broncos can actually do it, I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs in a situation like this every time.
And I'm going to pick the Denver Broncos because I think with their defense, and I think if it comes down to a clutch situation, I trust Bo Nix. Say what you want about Bo Nix. He's not, but you always say, Champ, about with Jalen Hurts. Not saying Bo Nix is Jalen Hurts. Don't be pretty. Be good. And look, is it unconventional with how he plays? Yes. Because in the first 3 quarters, he wets the bed. But then in the fourth quarter, somehow, some way, he finds ways to win. He did come back and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, handing the Eagles their first loss. The Houston Texans, say what you want. Yes, C.J. Stroud did suffer a concussion in that game, but somehow, some way, he managed to find a way to win that game. Or the Giants. They were trailing, 18 points in that game? Come back and win that game. Say what you want about Bo Nix. He finds ways to win and get the job done. And if you're Denver, this is the first time you've had a solid QB since Peyton Manning? Because look at the laundry list of QBs you've had. Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler, Teddy Bridgewater, Joe Flacco, Drew Lock. Bo Nix somehow, some way, and we've seen him play some SEC football, not just Oregon. We did see him in Auburn. Remember his freshman year. Who did he beat in his first time as a starter? That would be Justin Herbert in Oregon. and he won that game. So Bo Nix, believe it or not, is going to find a way to win. So I trust him in that matter. And on top of that, Nick Bonito. Because Kansas City's offense at times, even now with Rashee Rice, even now with Xavier Worthy, how are they going to become the bye week? How are they? Is Kansas City still the team that we fear? Because it doesn't seem like it that way. Baltimore's starting to pick back up. Baltimore is now climbing now that Lamar Jackson is finally healthy. And thank God Zach Orr and the defense are finally starting to get it together. Because at one point, champ, you said to yourself, they're like the Houston Oilers. So, and with Baltimore and with Buffalo, as long as Josh Allen doesn't do too much, as far as with the turnovers, James Cook, let James Cook cook. It doesn't seem like Kansas City is the team. We're talking about Indianapolis. We're talking about New England. New England is now back. Mike Vrabel has done a fantastic job, definitely in the Coach of the Year conversation. So Kansas City is going to be a concern. They're not what they once were. Now, could they change it? Yes, there's still time, but it ain't going to be pretty or easy. Detroit at Philadelphia.
Detroit what? Detroit what?
You picking Detroit?
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
I got Philly.
Same here. I got the Eagles.
Because regardless if the Eagles have a lackluster offensive performance, now to Broad's point, shout out to our good friend Broad Sports. Hey, amongst most of the young dudes on the panel, he's the most objective one. He does fear the Lions' offense because of what they can do is with Sonic and Knuckles, Jared Goff. But I do love the addition of Jalen Phillips. What he was able to do that Monday Night Football game against the Green Bay Packers, getting after Jordan Love, Jamad Campbell, Nakobe Dean. I want to see the matchup with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Quinshawn Mitchell. And how he's going to go up against Cooper DeJean as well, too, BRF. Jalen Hurts, look, A.J. Brown, once again, he keeps voicing his frustrations about Philadelphia, which is why I think after this season, BRF, you can agree with this as well. It's time for Philadelphia to move on from A.J. Brown.
I think so, too.
Roseman can do it because he can make moves just like that. So I'm going to go with Philly in a type 1. I say Philly 24, actually 25, Detroit 24.
I'm gonna say 28-24 Philly.
Okay. And Cowboys at Raiders. Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. Keep in mind, folks, this will be their first game since the tragedy of, rest his soul, Marshawn Kneeland. Obviously, the reports, according to authorities, took away his own life at the age of 24. I got Dallas winning this one. I think this would be a great statement game for them to win, especially during that tragedy. I think if this is the best time for them to refocus and get together as a football team, this is the game, especially with the Raiders. Geno Smith with his turnovers, Pete Carroll with the mistakes. I mean, look, the Cowboys defense, they're not known for having a great defense, but Quinn Williams will be there. This will be his first game as a Dallas Cowboy, as well as with Logan Wilson. I don't need for them to be elite, just at least look decent. So I got Dallas winning this one 27, the Raiders 10.
And not only will they have Quentin Williams and Logan Wilson back, and Wilson in their first game, they're getting DeMarvion Overshown back, who I think quickly last year became their best defensive player before he got hurt. They get him back for this game, and you saw what he's capable of. He's like another Micah Parsons with his speed and his athleticism and his explosion. So I'm picking the Cowboys here.
champ. Board unanimous. There you go. All right. Yeah. The big fellow's face says it all. Now let's get to my favorite subject, folks. Babyface heel. For those who may not know what babyface heel means in wrestling terminology, babyface means a good guy. Heel is a bad guy. A tweener is someone in between babyface or heel. So I come up with a list of athletes or celebrities, and me and the panel, we're gonna decide whether they are babyface, heel, or tweener. Now the first one is a celebrity, musician. Dr. Dre. I'm going to say tweener. I can't call him a baby face. Unfortunately, Champ BRF, we all know the incidents with him and D Barnes and also with Michelle. So, on a serious note, those are some very horrific situations in which Dre has opened and acknowledged. But I will say tweener, or you can lean towards babyface because of his impact with music, particularly with NWA, obviously with the business side of rap, producing, obviously him working with a lot of artists, Snoop, Eminem, 50 Cent, other artists, his genius, and then later in his career, how he was able to change his life. I mean, look how he is physically at what is he now, 60 years old, and taking tremendous care of himself. And then of course the Chronic 2001 album, my favorite song from him, The Message, tribute to his little brother Tyree. Hearing that side from Dr. Dre, just listening to him, just watching the episode on VH1's Behind the Music. If y'all want to watch great documentaries, just man, go watch VH1's Behind the Music, especially with Jim Forbes, with how the way he narrates. I mean, I watched the Dr. Dre one, the Snoop Dogg one, the Boys to Men one, the Bobby Brown one. Just watch VH1's Behind the Music as far as Jim Forbes narration and listening to the other people when they're discussing these types of things. Visual learning is a hell of a lot of fun. So, Dre, I say tweener. I lean towards tweener. And then, of course, him working with Busta Rhymes back in when Busta Rhymes joined Shady Aftermath. So I lean towards tweener with Dr. Dre.
Tweener. I gotta say tweener simply because of the controversies that happened. Plus, look, you have to acknowledge this. When Death Row first started, when gangster rap first started, it wasn't necessarily popular. It wasn't necessarily popular. You had a lot of people like, the great Dolores Tucker, and they was,
Not just Dolores Tucker, Dionne Warwick.
Dionne Warwick. Yeah, that was
They showed up 10 minutes early at her house.
I mean, that's Dionne Warwick. I mean, I'm just being real. It's kind of like, look, I'm just gonna be real. It's kind of like, one of our grandmas saying, "Hey, I want y'all at my house at 1:00. We gonna show up at 12:30. We gonna show up at 12:30. Hey man, y'all here right? So it's kind of like showing up at one of your grandmas or your great aunt's house. But yeah, even Dionne Warwick has some. It wasn't popular back then, and it affected a lot of generations because a lot of cats can't just take gangster rap as entertainment. They got to live by it. It's probably a bad analogy, but I will say it. Gangster rap for the previous generation is kind of like Hot Girl Summer is for this generation. A lot of bad influence.
Lord.
No, I'm just being serious.
I mean,
gangster rap, if you really look at gangster rap and how it affected a lot of youth back then, especially a lot of guys, it had the same effect that a lot of the rap that we have nowadays as far as the ladies are concerned. It's equivalent to that, except watered down just a little bit, but it's equivalent to it. It's a lot of influence, and what really is crazy about it, you would have think it affects like the youth. It's like 20-year-olds, guys like girls like that. You see girls like my age doing that shit. That shit be crazy. Like I'm gonna go have a hot girl summer. All right. Well, I'm
Actually,
like, we grown, but do your thing, Walter.
my mama's the same way, champ.
Huh?
My mama's the same way.
Well, that's mama. But
I mean, I have to like it.
that's just mama. That's mama. But mom. Look, mom done raised her kids, and mama got to have a life too. But I'm talking about folks who live and die by that shit. That see them on the internet. Got their cash app in the bio and shit like that. You see that shit all the time. But simply because gangster rap would. Regardless of how good it sounded, and it sounded damn good, it had an effect on the youth. And yeah, during that time, especially during the 90s and stuff like that, it had its effect. Now, granted, it was a lot of it wasn't negative like the media portrayed it, because the thing is, I'll make this analogy about gangster rap. Let's just suppose we just start rapping about the 6 o'clock news. Would it be considered gangster rap then?
Fair enough.
So, but I'll say the tweener because, of the negative and the positive that gangster rap had, because in reality, it was reality rap, but a lot of guys and gals took it and made it into something else, especially with the media. But I'll say a tweener. Dr. Dre did a lot. And let's not forget about the greatest what if story with Dr. Dre. And that's DOC.
Yes.
DOC.
You mentioned that on my pod previously.
I think DOC was better than every protege that he ever had. Because the thing is, when you are able to make an entire album with that mean wordplay and those rhymes, that you don't curse one time until the last record on your album, and that is the NWA Grand Finale, that is something to behold. He didn't curse not one time throughout that entire album until he got to the last record. But Dre did a lot for rap, man. The joint venture, without the joint venture, as far as rappers making money, as far as
and Beats by Dre.
And Beats by Dre. Man, look, I had a pair of those headphones. I still got them damn headphones. I can't find them nowhere. But
I'll see what I can do for you for Christmas.
But nah, I'm good. I can't find them nowhere right about now. I know somebody that came on my house and hit them. I know who you is. But I know you that came over here and hit them. But I know you came over here and hit them. And when I find them, I'm gonna come get you. But yeah, I'm gonna come get you. But yeah, Beats by Dre. Not to mention, like I said, man, Death Row had a positive impact because it showed you what you can do. Death Row or Aftermath was not a big company. They were not a major company. They were not. They were not like Motown. They were not like Universal. They were not like Def Jam. They were a small company that put out 6 LPs and all of them went triple platinum. Same with Aftermath. So his impact, look, he said it best. When your album sales weren't doing too good, who's the doc they told you to go see?
Right.
When your album sales, there's only 3 producers. When they produce your album from top to bottom, you got a hit on your hands. Dr. Dre, Swiss Beats, and Timbaland. Those guys, if they produce your album from top to bottom, you are at least about to go triple platinum. So Dr. Dre is a tweener, man, because of the influence that he had, man, both negative and positive, because like I said, and it wasn't him with the influence. I will say this, it was guys and gals who took gangster rap for what they thought it meant and rather than what it really was. Gangster rap was really reality rap. It was really bringing attention to a lot of things going on in the local neighborhoods, except for a lot of people took that and kind of ran with it with their own narrative, as well as the media. But, for what he did for hip hop, all the good music that he put out, and like I said, one of the few guys that was able to do a joint venture, not once, but twice, was able to create Death Row. Not only that, go back. This guy literally built 3 record companies. Built Ruthless. Well, no, 4. Because remember, he was with Lonzo Williams before he went to Ruthless. So, Crew Cut Records, he built that because of how he was able to produce that. Ruthless. He built Ruthless, built Death Row, then Aftermath.
Death Row, him and Suge. Although he wasn't concerned with how the way Suge handled business.
I mean, shit. If I look, I'm gonna just be real, bro. If you can get me out of contracts and get me out of
Well,
shit,
he did. I mean, he
I don't care
wanted
how
to
you
give.
handle it. Go ahead and do your thing. So,
Although it was kind of crazy what we heard about with Suge and Easy E, but
yeah,
hey, Dre looked at it from the standpoint he got the releases. Let's move on and let's build something. And eventually they did with Death Row.
interesting fact about Death Row. It was originally supposed to be Funky Enough Records because originally it was Suge and the DOC's label. Dre came in later.
Yep.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Funky Enough Records, but then everything kind of went into another direction. And originally, Doc, the DOC, was a partner in Death Row. It was Suge, Doc, Dick Griffey, God rest his soul, and then Dre. They were the original partners in Death Row. And then Harrio, Mr. Harrio, came in and did a lot of things from there. Then it just went from there. But yeah, that it was originally supposed to be Funky Enough Records. Had he not lost his voice, then that would have been a whole nother ball game. But Dre is a tweener simply because certain controversies. Like I said, a
As I
lot of people
mentioned,
took, yeah, not to mention the DV situation, which once you get into those type of situations, nobody's ever going to forget that, and rightfully so. And but to his credit, though, look, to his credit, when you own up to something that you did wrong and don't run from it and try to deflect blame and do all that other nonsense, there's something to be said about that. When you own up to your mistakes, admit that you did it, and admit that you just was a messed up human being and that you've changed and that God got his hands around you, then guess what? There's something to behold about that situation. A lot of people, especially these days when during the internet age when everybody want to be right, a lot of people will sit around here use narcissists and doing all that. No. It takes a real good person, not just man and woman, not just man, not just woman, a real good person to say, hey, what I did was wrong. I messed up. I shouldn't have did that. I was dead ass wrong for doing that. I shouldn't have did that. And I look back on it and I feel embarrassed. And you not getting in any more trouble and nobody ever hears anything about that certain thing about you anymore. Like anymore, that's something to be said about that. And that goes to show you that you've made amends and you have learned your lesson.
and also with the Chronic 2000 Chronic album in 1992. Wasn't it the first ever gangster rap album to go commercial?
Yes. Funny thing about that album, I'm a walking dictionary. Uh Snoop did
Walking
not want
Dictionary, you a thesaurus, an encyclopedia.
Snoop did not want to be on the cover of Rolling Stones. He did not want to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. He was pissed that he was on the cover of Rolling Stone. He said what he was at Jimmy. He said himself, he said, I was at Jimmy Iv's. He said, I don't give a blank about the Rolling Stone. I want to be on the cover of the Source. What are you doing? Like the Source is, hip hop. And Jimmy Iovine had to convince him, like, no, 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 no. Trust me, you being on the cover of the Rolling Stone is gonna take off. And yeah, that to his credit. And look, me being the guy who I am, I wouldn't have blamed Snoop back then, especially because the Source back then, I will say
That was
back in the
big. That was
90s,
huge back in them days.
yeah, that was the
Yes,
hip
it
hop
was.
Bible. That was the hip hop Bible. So yeah, I mean, he did not want to be on the cover of Rolling Stones. So he wanted to be on the cover of the Source, which, you know,
But Jimmy
rightfully so, like
Iovine
I said.
fortunately talked him out of it and said, "Nah, nah, nah. Trust me, you can cross over." And Snoop, to his credit, at least he was willing to do it. But hey, it benefited him.
Yes, it did, man. And shout out to the Source, shout out to Vibe, shout out to a lot of Word Up, and all those magazines that brought hip hop to life, along with hip hop, the hip hop voices. Because without the magazines, I doubt hip hop would have survived, man. It was so fun back then to read the source, to go look at the cover of the source and see who got 5 mics. And man, that was the day. That was the golden age of hip hop right there. But man, Dr. Dre is a tweener. And like I said, when you're man enough and person enough to own up to your mistakes and say, what I did was wrong, then that says something about you as a human being, especially if you don't hear about. It's one thing when you say I was wrong and we keep hearing about it. You keep doing stupid crap. But when you own up to it and say, I was wrong and we don't ever hear anything about like that anymore, there's something to be said about that. But big ups to Dr. Dre. You made my childhood great, man. I remember driving down the street in my dad's Toyota on the passenger side with my dad listening to the Chronic album. That was one of the best albums in hip hop history.
Hey man, greatest apology is change behavior.
Yes, indeed.
BRF.
Yeah, yeah. With Dr. Dre, I gotta go 22. I mean, yeah, like allegations are never a good look for an entertainer, for a celebrity of that nature. So yeah, definitely knocks it down a peg or so. But let me tell you something. It's crazy when the only two studio albums you made, well, with the first two studio albums you made, pretty much the only two studio albums you made are two of the best albums in the history of hip hop. When you think about the Chronic and you think about 2001, like just that just shows how in tune you are with the game, and then this also shows how talented you are as an artist. Because I mean, let's face it, I feel like Dr. Dre, we know him so much for his producing and what he does as far as like creating magic with all these artists that he's had under his wing, whether it was 50, whether it was Game or anybody like that. But to show people that, hey, I can get on that mic and I can do it just as good as anybody, and he's made two of the greatest albums in the history of hip hop. So I mean, that just speaks to how talented Dr. Dre is and how good he's been for so long, and now he's still able to maintain it as being one of the, not only one of the more underrated rappers of all time, but one of the greatest producers in the history of hip hop. So I mean, Dr. Dre just has a lot in terms of a resume, in terms of just reputation, as far as like musically and everything like that. Just he's done a lot for hip hop as far as bringing it out, making it mainstream, making it popular. Being a crossover hit. As far as the Chronic being a crossover, I mean, come on, man, ain't nothing but a G thing. Some of the greatest songs in the history of hip hop came off of that album.
And let me ride.
Yeah, I'm telling you, some of the greatest songs in the history of hip hop came off of that album. We'll still rock to this day because of how good that album was. And so, but yeah, like I said, the allegations are never good look, and it does knock him down a peg for me. But I mean, he's still a tweener just because of just it's one of those where it's like, yeah, you knock him down a peg for stuff that he's done, but yeah, he's talked about it. He repenting for what he's done. He's owned up to it. He understands. But yet we can't forget him as just being one of the pioneers of hip hop and one of the great influences of the game, and how in his 60s still going stronger than ever, and just like the tree, the tree of artists, like the lineage as far as like who he's worked with and who he's brought up is like just it's like a who's who of potential to all-time greats in the game. So I mean, you got to definitely shout out to Dre. Yeah, but he's a tweener for me, but he's definitely one of the bigger influences hip hop has ever seen.
All right, next one, Kyler Murray.
Next.
I'm leaning towards more heel. I love Kyler. Going back to his days at Oklahoma, winning the Heisman Trophy. I wanted to see Kyler Murray succeed because primarily his size. He's 5'10", really more 5'9", 5'8". And his first 3 years, he was having some success. Each and every year, you look at the Arizona Cardinals record, they got better and better and better. 2021, I thought that was Kyler's best year of his career, sadly, because the first half of the season, he looked like the runaway favorite for the league MVP. And then he cooled off due to injuries. And then, of course, in the offseason, after that embarrassing playoff loss against the Los Angeles Rams, in which he threw 2 interceptions, one of them was an awful pick six, one of the worst pick sixes you've ever seen, throwing an underhand football. And again, another great thing with Kyler, baseball background. You know, he was drafted by the Oakland Athletics, I believe, the 9th overall pick out of the MLB draft. Kyler Murray, number 1 overall pick. But Kyler, the biggest problem with him has been his attitude. I mean, that study clause, that is a horrendous look that the Arizona Cardinals, the organization you've stuck with for so long, they put an independent study clause in your contract in which you have to study 4 hours outside the job. And you signed on the dotted line, Kyler. And then I brought it up on my pod. I suggested that Kyler should go to Atlanta to be mentored by a guy like Michael Vick. Champ said, nope, if you can't study in a place like Arizona, what makes you think you could study in a place like Atlanta with all them distractions and temptations? To which Kyler, you even responded back. And you questioned, and you said you don't know what I do as far as work ethic and preparation. And I asked you a question before you blocked me. Why would the Cardinals put that clause in your contract? If anyone would dare question your work ethic, Kyler, why would the Arizona Cardinals put that clause in your contract? They put that clause in your contract because they know, and you know, you didn't do what you were supposed to. Had you done what you were supposed to, they would have never put that clause in your contract. And now you seen the Arizona Cardinals, they're looking to trade you. I think it's best for Kyler to move on and go elsewhere. And you seem more interested in Call of Duty. You seem more interested in playing video games than actually watching film and doing your job. Dwayne Coleman, who watches our show as well as your show, Champ and BRF, he said Kyler Murray is him on the field. He's like it's watching a high school football game or Madden or something. So Kyler, at this point, I lean towards, hate to say it, heel. As an OU fan, heel. Because his career is not panning out the way I imagined. Have there been other issues in Arizona? Yes. But Kyler Murray has not changed life, and he's becoming more of a problem than the distraction. And it certainly doesn't help when teammates have called you out. Patrick Peterson. Kyler Murray don't care about nobody but Kyler Murray. Calvin Beachum, the offensive lineman, he says that Kyler has what it takes. He just needs to grow up a little bit. Larry Fitzgerald Sr., who's in the media, and the father of Larry Fitzgerald, said Kyler is spoiled. If it's coming from the father who works in the media and who is the father of Larry Fitzgerald, class personified, it had to come from Larry Fitzgerald, the son. Heel at this point.
Heel. My thing is this. His style of play really reminds me, BRF, you know this as well. Remember how Michael Vick's style of play was before he really started studying?
Yeah.
And you was really questioning on whether he watched film or not. So,
which he stated he doesn't spend a lot of time watching film.
Again, that's your job. Look, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like doing in my spare time. You think I like going around here taking notes like this before podcasts? I can rely on natural ability because I know sports like that. Not to brag, but I'm like that when it comes to sports. But guess what? I still have to take notes and do my research on stuff in order to be efficient at my job. So let's just be very, very honest with you. You have to do stuff when it comes to your job. I have to study. As y'all know, I'm in the technology field. I have to study in order to be good at my job. I have to study every night. PSP, you could attest to this. A lot of times when you text me or call me, I'm doing a project. or I'm studying, or I'm doing something. You have to study in order to be good at your craft. I think that Carl Banks said it best. A lot of guys are committed to their craft, and some are just happy being good. And his style of play right now reminds me a lot of Michael Vick when he was in Atlanta. A lot of natural ability, but you really don't see that one complete season. You really haven't seen that one complete season where he's bringing it all together. Everything is going. You see the maturation process. You don't really see that. It's like, and like I said, a lot of the indictment on him is when you saw Jaden Daniels and how officially he ran Cliff Kingsbury offense the first year because he was so cooperative. Everybody was talking about how much Jaden Daniels studies, how he was using the virtual reality uh, videos and stuff like that, how he was training in virtual reality, things of that nature. People was talking about how much he studied and how much time he put in. Wasn't no high of the highs, and then the very next, then the second half of the season, the lower the low because the lead and caught up with you. Once Cliff Kingsbury had a cooperative and coachable quarterback, you saw what the offense could do. And he was a rookie, first year. And not to mention, like I said, it's like you really took the time out your day in order to address PSP.
Again, for the
And
record,
then,
I was wrong for tagging him. I just want to state the record. So,
well, not only that, I'm just gonna be real. Okay, everybody ain't lying. You responded to PSP, you responded to Patrick Peterson, you responded to everybody, but everybody seeing that you have not changed. Like I said, his play is a lot like Michael Vick when he was in Atlanta. I don't think that coaches come in and coach him hard. I don't think that a lot of coaches is able to coach him hard because of ownership. They're trying to keep him happy because of that that 9-figure contract. I don't really think that he wants it. I really don't. There's a lot of things that occur during this franchise that he just could. There's been certain times where the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams have had down years. That should have been your opportunity to take over and deliver certain things to Arizona. Arizona has been desperately looking for a winner for years. And the only time that you really, really saw that they was able to do it was with two different quarterbacks. They was able to see it with Jim Hart back in the 70s when the first rendition of the Air Coryell offense was there. And and then you saw them with Comrade Dobler and some of the other offensive linemen there, and OJ Anderson back then. And then you was able to see it during the Kurt Warner era. That was the only time you was able to see the Arizona Cardinals really be winners. But
in 2015, although they didn't make the Super Bowl, at least with Carson Palmer, at least they made it to the NFC Championship game that year before they got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they have been craving a long-term winner there. You had a chance in order to change the culture. I'll never forget something that Peyton Manning first said. Two things I'll say. I'll never forget when he had got that $90 million contract. I'll never forget what he said. He said, "What are you going to do with that contract?" He said, "I'm going to earn it. I'm going to earn it. I'm going to earn it, every penny of it." Another thing that he said that I found very, very profound is, guess what? I have a responsibility to my team in order to make sure that we're not a circle win every single year. I don't think Kyler takes that approach. I really don't. Like I stated, if we see smaller quarterbacks succeed in this league. Look at Russell Wilson. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie didn't have half the ability that Kyler Murray had. Yet he was able to lead the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs twice and did be a Pro Bowler. So we see your natural ability. It's like We just don't see you bring it all into one big, huge, just. I want to see you bring it into a one big package and show us all that you can do, all of it. But instead, we get these flashes, and these eternal flames are just merely smoke screens. So, between your work ethic, you lashing out at everybody because you don't do what you're supposed to do, and all of that other stuff, and you not being a culture changer where you are, I gotta label you a heel. Because in the great words of Exhibit, what's the difference between me and you? You talk a good game, but you don't do what you're supposed to do.
BRF.
Yeah, I gotta go. Whew, man, Kyler. Think you gotta go. I think it's a heel for me too. I mean, when you look at the rise early in his career, like in particularly that particularly that 20 that 20 was it 2021 22
2021. That was the
yeah
year in which the Cardinals, they were like 7-0 the first half of the season, and
yeah,
Kyler was the MVP favorite at that point.
right. And then the wheels fell off, and they made it to the playoffs, but the LA Rams just sent them out as quick as they made it. But yeah, just too many questions for me as far as like his attitude, his work ethic, just sheer will to want to be the best player he can be, and just as the face of a franchise, as the quarterback of the team, the face of a franchise, you have to be really leading by example. You have to be really that one out front, really, guiding the young guys around because you're one of the vets. And it's like, it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, as a player, as a quarterback, when we've had to question you as much as we have, as far as like what you do, outside of campuses, outside of the facility, being there for your teammates, just the encouragement, the leadership, like you're the one that's been there. Like it's got to be you, out on it's got to be you out on the front line as far as like being the leader that team deserves, and you haven't really done that at all. And then yeah, like for me, I think for me the ultimate kind of it's the study clause. It's the study clause. Like as the face of a franchise, why are you sitting here being so worried about getting your next Call of Duty game in when you're the face of a franchise? And the Arizona Cardinals, who at one point was really on the come up, like was one of those teams that everybody was talking about, like, okay, and watch out for this squad. If they get going early and they build some momentum, just watch out. But like now it's just kind of like they're stuck in limbo, and it's really it's really because of what do they do with Kyler Murray in the offseason? Do we give him another go, or do we go ahead and just say good riddance from the standpoint of there hasn't been any franchise progress the entire time he's been there? And like I said, a lot of it's his fault. His work ethic, just feeling entitled. Just you can't be like that as the face of a franchise. So yeah, with Kyler, yeah, I'm gonna go heel for Kyler Murray.
All right, fellas, let's just try to hurry up with Babyface Hill in these last couple of subjects. This one, I think this is pretty unanimous as a babyface. Big Red, Andy Reid, babyface.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Considering, from 1999 to all the way now, 2025, 27 years as a head coach. Finally, 5 NFC Championship appearances with the Philadelphia Eagles. Had some really good football teams, especially on the defensive side of the football with Jermaine Trotter, Hugh Douglas, Brian Dawkins, one of the best. We talk about Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, Ryan Clark as far as hard-hitting safeties. Look at Brian Dawkins.
Yes.
Go back to his early days with the Philadelphia Eagles. What he did for Donovan McNabb. People forgot Donovan McNabb, who was drafted with the number 2 overall pick out of Syracuse. He was booed on draft day. And Donovan McNabb, had he won a Super Bowl, there would have been enough of an argument as far as with the Hall of Fame. Donovan, you could still make an argument for Hall of Fame. I don't think he may be in though, although it's kind of weird because you look at Phillip Rivers, 8 Pro Bowls. You may say he's a Hall of Famer, but Phillip Rivers does has consistency. He has better numbers. He has played in the NFL for 17 years, so that does kind of add to the favor. But what he did with Kansas City, helping turn around Alex Smith's career, even putting up great numbers, and then of course with Patrick Mahomes. The great thing about with Andy Reid is, unlike Belichick, he's had a great coaching tree. Sean McDermott, Todd Bowles, John Harbaugh, Doug Peterson, who won those two won Super Bowls as a head coach before Andy was able to get his one. Look, say whatever you want about Kansas City, the refs, Mahomes, Kelsey. If there's one reason why you want to root for Kansas City, look no further than Andy Reid. And oh, by the way, he's the epitome of giving people second chances. Michael Vick, obviously. Kareem Hunt. The Kansas City Chiefs decided to bring back Kareem Hunt. Had Kareem Hunt had not had that incident, champ, we may have had the discussion. Kansas City, could they have won that Super Bowl that first year with Mahomes at QB?
Yes, they could have won because he was just that good. Kareem Hunt was that dude, man.
Led the NFL in rushing his first year as a rookie. And when you look at Andy Reid, brilliant offensive mind, still to this day, the reason why, champ, I still believe Andy Reid has a case of making the GOAT conversation if he wants to. If he can win a couple more Super Bowls. Look, Andy Reid, pristine reputation. No, doesn't have Spygate, Deflategate, any of those types of controversies under his belt like Belichick. And unlike Belichick, he has evolved with the times. The knocks on Andy Reid were clock management issues, him winning the big one. That's no longer the case. He's no longer afraid anymore. And he's such a likable dude. As big fellas as y'all would love to go to a barbecue shack with Andy Reid, getting a good cheeseburger and some ribs and some fries and wash it down with a vanilla or chocolate shake. That's Andy Reid in a nutshell, man. He's relatable, especially with how the way he draws up plays, like in the Super Bowl when they beat the Philadelphia Eagles the first time. That play when Mahomes threw the touchdown pass to Kadarius Toney. You know what that play was called? Corn dog. Because Andy Reid, he loves himself some food. To me, he's kind of in some ways like Charles Barkley. He's relatable. He's the type of big fella, the big old teddy bear people like. He's relatable with food. He's relatable with a lot of great things. There is not a negative word to say about him as a human being, as a person, as a head coach. He's a player's type of coach. He's the type of person that you can have a conversation with. If you talk to Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, others, not a negative word to say about him. And look at how he was coaching in Philadelphia compared to Chip Kelly. Look at all the negative things that Chip Kelly had to be heard and said about him. So when I look at Andy Reid, babyface.
Babyface, and you basically covered everything, especially his ability to give players a second act in their career. Remember, look, a lot of his players, his star player, the poster boy of tight ends, he got in trouble in college, remember?
Travis Kelce in Cincinnati, yeah.
Yeah, he got in trouble.
Tyreek Hill, remember he had that DV incident.
Yeah, he got in trouble. Travis Kelce is the poster boy. Remember, he had his brother call him up. Hey, man, you going to act right? All right, we taking you in the fifth. Remember, Jason Kelce called him up. He was like, hey, man, call your brother up. You going to act right? He's like, yeah, man, I'm not going to mess up. All right, we're going to draft you. You better not mess up. So, hey, that just goes to show you the ability of you taking chances and investing in people. not just him. Like I said, the poster boy of that was Michael Vick. But you think about a lot of other guys. Think about Kareem Hunt. You think about Tyreek Hill. You think about a lot of other players that he took a risk on. Remember, he took a risk on Vince Young, although he had trouble in
Tennessee, and that was in large part
So,
because of with him and Jeff Fisher.
yeah, Jim and Jeff Fisher, but yeah, basically you covered everything. It's called PSP. We call you the New Jersey Genius for a reason, brother. But yeah, man, Andy Reid is an undisputed babyface.
Yes, even the great Barack Obama thanked Jeffrey Lurie and the Eagles organization for giving Michael Vick a second chance because he knows what it's like for African Americans, black people, to screw up and not get another opportunity. And Vic had the opportunity to clean up and resurrect his career and life.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Not to mention, man, get 2 $100 million contracts. It's rare you get one.
And also for Nike to bring him back.
Yes, indeed. Now you coaching, doing a hell of a job, man. I'm proud of Mike Vick, man. But big ups to Andy Reid for taking that chance, man, because, could have gone either way, but it went the right way.
And also, too, Andy Reid, people related. There were a lot of great things to say about him. And he was also going through his turbulent times with his sons, his children. And still, he was able to overcome all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, BRF, is there anything you want to add?
No, man, y'all pretty much covered everything as far as Andy Reid. I mean, one of the most likable personalities we have in the NFL and sports period, and just there's nothing bad you can honestly really say about that guy unless you just want to be flat out picky and you want to just find something that's of his fault. But honestly, what bad can you say about Andy Reid? There's really nothing bad you can say about Andy Reid. Very much a babyface.
All right, fellas, we got these last two subjects. We're gonna try to keep it less than under 4 hours because I gotta go finish clipping all these videos and stuff. But we're gonna try to keep it real short and quick. Favorite Carlito moment?
Him spitting apples in the face of Triple H when he came back. That was a big moment. The backstabbing when he backstabbed Tori Wilson. I think that was kind of diabolical as well when he turned on her and Ric Flair.
The nightclub with him, John Cena, and
the only thing that they did, they basically recreated the Chris Paul incident. That's the only thing that they did. They recreated it because remember Chris Paul, I think he got stabbed a shot, and he still played 82 games that year. But they basically recreated that. But yeah. Carlito is very, very underrated. If you really want me to be honest with you,
really good mic skills.
Good, hell of a mic skills, and when he came back, and he was part of he was part of one of the better groups in the WWE. So he was a part of the Latino World Order. Never forget that part as well. So yeah, big ups to Carlito, man. One of the more underrated guys. He was part of one of the first elimination chambers at New Year's Evolution, back when that was a thing. Like I said, teamed up with Ric Flair. Everybody doesn't need to have a world title run, guys. I understand that we have our little favorites and we have a lot of different gimmicks, but he was exactly where he needed to be. But he was able to team up with Ric Flair. He was able to team up with Tori Wilson. He was able to team up with Jesus. That was his partner's name, Jesus, when he was feuding with John Cena. And yeah, that was a big feud back then, But like I stated, they basically the only thing with Carlito, they basically recreated Razor Ramon and made it more comical.
That's a hell of an analogy. That's a hell of an analogy, big fella. BRF.
Carlito's definitely underrated. Yeah, if you go back to the moments of spitting the apple out. Heck, even the interest music was cool. I spit on the face of people who don't want to be cool. Like the interest music was pretty much a telltale sign of who you were dealing with on a weekly basis when he came out. But my favorite all time Carlito moment though, and I got to single out one, is Backlash 2023, the return. The return in his native land in Puerto Rico. I mean, just that pop he got when his music hit during that street fight with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, which should have main evented, but I digress. But yeah, for me, just that moment as a whole, like him being out of WWE as long as he was, and then to bring him back for that moment had to be like, I mean, he had to have been on cloud nine after that. To get that type of reaction from his his homeland, his people just basically. And I remember Backlash 2023. Backlash 2023 is one of the greatest pay-per-views in the history of the WWE, and it's just off of the crowd alone. That's one of the greatest crowds I've ever seen for any event. I mean, that Puerto Rican crowd of Backlash 2023 carried that pay-per-view, and they had and the pay-per-view was really good itself. They had good matches, but the crowd carried that. That Bad Bunny entrance to Shambhala, like that clip will be in time capsules for wrestling fans for years to come. As great as that entrance was, so but like Carlito, just that energy and like beating up the Judgment Day the way he did, and the fans just basically with him, strike for strike. I mean, that's like that had to put him on top of the world after that. So yeah, my favorite moment was Backlash 2023 where they brought him out to that pop. It was just when, as a wrestling fan, when we talk about what magic is in wrestling, what magic is in professional wrestling, Carlito's return in 2023 is magic in professional wrestling.
Absolutely. Shout out to the beautiful Nessa on the live chat saying my boys. Yes, shout out to all our veterans. Shout out to our great guy Dwayne Coleman and Dalton Smith. What's up? Appreciate y'all for checking on to the Sports PSP pod. And one last final topic, fellas. Favorite Omarion track. Touch. Supposed to Be featuring Janae Aiko and Chris Brown. My favorite verse, I'm sorry, is Janae Aiko's Gotta Eat the Bleep Like Groceries. That's my favorite verse out of the track. But Omarion with his dancing listen, Janae Aiko said it. I mean, so she fine though.
Hey, I'm not.
Don't act as if you wouldn't mind, champ. I mean,
hey man, you can't be out here, doing that and then talking about no pickle, no onions. I'm just gonna be real with you. I'm just gonna be real.
But Omarion, as far as with his dancing ability from B2K, I still watched the movie with him, Marquez Houston. You Got Served. From his B2K days, I mean, Girlfriend. But I like Omarion from his independent career. Of course, Icebox, but Touch and Post to Be. Those are like my favorite tracks from Omarion. What says y'all?
Gotta say, Let Me Hold You. Him and Bow Wow. People make fun of that song, but that was a good one, bro. Man,
he was great back in them 106 and Park days.
Yeah, it's gonna be the sound good when it's going down. I love that song, man. Especially when he was riding around with the drop top with Evil Dave Chappelle. So that was good. Like I said, Touch. Look, I like the features that he did. MIA, what he did with Wale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I'm gonna just be real, man. He spit off from B2K, and he had a lot of talent. He had a hell of a lot of talent. He was able to sing, he was able to dance, he was able to do a lot of things, a lot of different things. And remember, Know You Better, with him and Fabulous and those guys. So a lot of great things that he was able to do, man. What's so funny about him is it's kind of like Justin Timberlake. You was able to see him elevate himself from this boy band to being a teeny bopper to being this mega star that was not just had his own albums, but he was being able to be featured with some of the biggest artists in arguably history. Like I said, it's just like it's parallel. Now, granted, he wasn't as big of a star as Justin Timberlake is or was, but like I stated, you was able to see him kind of spin off from that. It's like, yeah, I was in this big time boy band, but now I'm spinning off and I'm on my grown man stuff now. So for him to be able to spin off from being in a boy band to be, one of the bigger stars in R&B, that was something special to behold. Like I said, it's sort of like how Justin Timberlake did, or on a lower level, how Cisco did. On a lower level, how Cisco did. He was able to elevate from Drew Hill to being a solo artist. But yeah,
I'm not laughing at that, champ. I'm laughing anytime whenever someone brings up Cisco, they bring up the story of Mike Tyson and the thong
song. I'm not gonna lie, PFP sent me that video about 4 times one day, and the PSP will send you something funny at the most inopportunistic time. I remember one time I'm sitting up there in the beat trying to be quiet. I get something from PSP. I'm thinking it's a video. All the thing I hear, the thong song, and I'm sitting there trying not to laugh. So the only thing I know is the big boss is going to be Mr. You know what? Y'all know my last name. Do we have a problem? Like, no, I'm good. I'm good. So get the thong song out of here. But yeah, he was like it was like I said, it was kind of like on the same level that we saw Cisco. We saw him go from this iconic boy band, like I said, but except Cisco was grown, but Omarion was like a teeny bopper type of guy, but we was able to see him go from that to being on his grown man type of thing. So that was great. But like I said, man, I wish that look, all those B2K songs was good, man. All of them. So I mean,
bump.
Yeah,
although it was written and produced by an infamous singer, but at the same time, that was a heck of a track, though.
That was what hell of a track, man. So I mean, look, man, and you can't write the history of certain things without certain people. It's just unfortunate that they're attached to something that egregious. But yeah, man. Yeah, that was great, man.
Get away from me, thong.
Get the thong out of here. Get the thong song. Try to get in.
For those who may not know about the thong songs, for those who may not know about the thong song story, according to Jamie Foxx, this was in the Mike Tyson days, post-prison, and Cisco, they were playing the thong song. According to Jamie Foxx, Mike Tyson is no fan of the thong song, and as soon as he heard the song, he was
get the thong song out of here.
I send you a lot of crazy stuff. Remember, I sent you the story on Fat Joe, Mike Tyson in the tunnel.
Yeah, I wish I could have had an opportunity to go to the tunnel, man. I mean, that was a heck of a. I think the funniest story that you sent me was when Carlton Banks, when he was code switching. Yeah. When that was you talk about a major code switch. That was. I mean, because he had his gear on, but he was talking. I'm like, this the same guy we saw doing this right here. Yeah.
Nah.
You talk about code switching. That was a super code switch right there.
I still laugh to this day how Mike Tyson was chasing one of the bouncers. In fact, Fat Joe is saying, "Thank God, God gave us Mike Tyson." BRF.
Oh boy, how do I follow that? Oh boy. Oh gosh, Omarion. Oh man, yeah, he definitely hit a whole new level when he went solo and left B2K. But we're not gonna. But yeah, we can't not give B2K their flowers for being a really good group. That early 2000s. That whole millennium era, them and Bow Wow and Sammy and all those artists back when and all that. Gosh, you got, let's see, you got Touch. I'm trying to Entourage, Icebox. Come on, man, Icebox. You Icebox. And then you got the dude on TikTok. Shout out to our white brethren who are out there cutting the rug and busting moves and making quality TikToks. The dude that was dancing to touch to touch, and then he brought on Omarion for the video. I think that's one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. But yeah, MIA, Know You Better. Gosh, what else? Yeah, and then yeah. Let me. Yeah, I think honestly the Bow Wow collaboration, the collaboration as a whole was like pretty well done. I got to give it to him because a lot of, I wouldn't want to say skeptical, but it was like, oh my gosh, we got to get Bow Wow and Omarion. But then when you hear some of the songs, like, hey, you know what, it kind of slapped because you had Let Me Hold You, you had Girlfriend. I mean, it slapped. So you can't be mad at it. But yeah, Omarion definitely hit a new level when he went solo, and he made like a lot of really 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 good tracks. So that's just something for me. If I had to single out one and pick one, it's probably gonna be Icebox.
Yeah, but Touch though, especially at the end of the song and his dancing ability. Yeah, but can't go wrong with either ones though, man.
Or the one segment of the Pimp Chronicles, Cat Williams, where he's talking about Omarion. It's like you can't talk to this man because he's practicing his goddamn dance move.
Shout out to Cat Williams, man. But fellas, that concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast. As always, man, great pod. Always putting out great content. We're gonna always continue writing on the Sports PSP podcast as well as the Undisputed GOAT podcast and all other podcasts. Appreciate the panel for always taking their time to hop on the pod, discuss, and contribute. And already now over 130 something thousand subscribers. Well, 150,000, just throwing it out there, just making sure. But as always, fellas, thank y'all for y'all contributions, for hopping on to the pod, and thank you to the audience for taking the time to actually check out the Sports PSP podcast. Please make sure you like and subscribe as always, and also share and comment. Panel, any final words before we wrap up the show?
I'll start it. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the desk. Now I got to really get going as far as like equipment, making my experience on here for the viewing audience even better. But I mean, just greatly appreciate it. Always a pleasure hopping on here with you two fine brothers to just do what we do and have fun and just really, kind of soaking in and getting to do what we love to do. And it's always fun. It's always fun getting on here week in and week out doing this with y'all, man. And we're gonna keep it going. And I gotta leave y'all with my motto because that is what I do. Because a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about.
Big fella.
Hold your family close, man. And shout out to my main man Ghost from TikTok, one of my day ones on TikTok. Prayers up to you, brother. So hold your family and your friends close and be a friend. Don't just be asking for shit. Receive it. Don't just be asking for stuff. Just be there for your people. Like I said last week, look out for your people. And just like we look out for each other on this panel, wouldn't have all this stuff that I have right here, new stuff that I have without PSP, making recommendations because I was about to go order the most expensive shit in the world. And he was like, hey, bro, this is what you could do. And, look out for your people, man. and make sure that your people are okay, man. Mental health is no joke, bro. If you think, look, man, look, we'll just be real. When the mind goes, everything goes. You know, I don't care how strong you is, man. Once this breaks, everything breaks. So keep an eye out on your people, man, and check on your damn people. It's the holiday season. You got a grudge, let it go. If you got some amends you have to make them. Don't be this bitter person that just always has to be that person, I would say. Don't be an anal retentive, I would say. Look after your people, man, and make sure that instead of always walking up with your three friends, I would say, give me, lend me, and hand me. Make sure you got something to bring, and just be mindful, man, because there's every day somebody passes. Every day somebody takes their own life. And every day we get so caught up in our own lives and being spoiled brats that we don't realize the life that we live on a regular basis. Our normal is a person's dream. Our normal is a person's dream. Us being able to get up on here, do a podcast every single Friday and get a people something to look forward to. That is somebody's dream in order to do just that. So we're fortunate. We're blessed. On that note, God loves y'all. So do I. Keep your head up and swivel and keep your mind right. Look after your people. God bless.
I will say one last thing before we wrap up the air. I may get some flack for it, but I don't really care. If you're going to tell me, like the big fella said, keep politics out of sports, you not only have to say that not only to me, you have to say that to yourself. Because last week, President Trump was at the Detroit Lions versus Washington Commanders game. He actually said that once they release the new stadium, he wants it to be named after him. In the words of the big fella, undisputed world champ, keep politics out of sports. Because if you're telling me to if you're telling me, champ, BRF, and several others to keep politics out of sports, you have to take your own advice. And if you're not, please shut the hell up and don't waste your time giving us the advice. Because I'm getting fed up. Because not just with this, remember, champ, we talked about this with Brian Kelly, Governor Jeff Landry, who wants to build a statue at LSU, on the campus of LSU, of Charlie Kirk. If you're going to keep politics out of sports, not only you have to say it to people like us, you also have to say it to yourself so that you don't sound like an absolute hypocrite or fool. As I always say, champ, I'd rather be woke
than a joke.
Oh, I'm trying to be good. I'm being good. I'm not saying anything. I'm not going to.
You don't have to. You don't have to. This is my team, BRF, because
you sure?
I'm getting tired of people asking me about the Commanders, about the name and stuff. And for those who may, and President Trump also, he wants the name of the Commanders to go back to the original name. Although some don't find the name offensive. Here's the test. Go to a Native American reservation and use that term.
Yeah, I dare you. I dare you. And then come back and tell me the story when you get through and see don't you watch your ass get cut. So yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. So
all I'm gonna say is Donald Trump. He need to keep sports out of his mouth like other things.
And also, too, he did say he wants to commentate. He thinks he can do a good job commentating on football games.
That's not nothing new. I mean, we've seen President Reagan. We've seen You know, President Carter, a lot of different presidents do that. You can commentate or whatever, but you know, he don't sound very good when he do the shit.
He's not convincing. But my problem is, champ, I get the hypocrisy.
It is.
Telling me keep politics out of sports, you have to practice what you preach.
Facts.
Otherwise, don't tell me shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, indeed.
And on that note, we gonna end the podcast. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Stay safe. Holiday season is approaching.